next meeting and those following will be held in person here at Town Hall and will continue to allow for remote participation. So please keep checking the town website for updates and any new information. If you wish to view tonight's live meeting only and not participate, please do not join the Zoom meeting and instead go to the town's website for viewing access. With that, I'd like to ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For those of you with us here tonight, in case of an emergency evacuation, please exit through the rear doors of this room to one of the staircases across the hall and continue downstairs out through the main entrance. Do not attempt to use the elevators during an emergency evacuation. In case of a medical emergency, the automated external defibrillator and first aid kit are both located in the hallway on this floor opposite the elevator. Restrooms are located across the hall from this room. We'll begin this meeting with public hearings. We have participants and members of the public here with us live and also standing by via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. CTV will mute the speakers on Zoom until it's their time to give testimony before the board. Please be patient. If you find that you're having difficulties accessing the hearing, visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. Also, for those of you in this boardroom, please silence your cell phones and refrain from speaking to one another as it interferes with the recordings of our proceedings. Tonight, board member Helen Burgess is participating via Zoom. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking other than attorneys will be sworn in, will state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. In order to consider properly every application before us, individuals commenting on a particular application will have a time limit of 3 minutes. Also, before handing in any submissions to the board tonight, please make sure documents identify the ZBA application name and tax map number. The application name should also be written on your certified receipts. Unless otherwise stated at the end of an individual application hearing, all applications will remain open for written comments for all purposes until a set date. Those written comments can be addressed to members of the board and sent via email, mail, and or dropped off at Town Hall to the board secretary, Candace Cowell, in the building department. At this time, I would like a motion to approve the minutes of our December 19, 2024 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Mastonio.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Redhand.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. They're approved. John, would you like to take us through the agenda, please?
Yes, turning to number 3 on the agenda, M Bar West Ponds LLC, 32 West Pond Drive, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-84-1-32.19. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for proposed basketball court. 1. Section 330-6, General Regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory distance from street setback from 70 feet to 39.5 feet. And 2. Section 330-76D, Placement of Accessory Buildings, Structures, and Uses in all districts, and Section 330-83C, Yards, to allow the basketball court to be located in the required front yard and any other relief necessary.
What is jurisdiction, Madam Chair?
Thank you.
I move to adjourn the hearing on this application to January 16.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Mastonio.
Aye.
Mr. Redhand.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Number 6 on the agenda, Parish Art Museum, 279 Montauk Highway, Watermill, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-133-1-16.7. This application is being re-advertised for February 6th.
No vote on that, right?
No vote. Number 11 on the agenda, 911 Flanders Road LLC, 9 and 11 Flanders Road, Riverside, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-138-2-31 and 32. I move to adjourn the hearing on this application to April 17th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Mastonio.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Redhand.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, going to the top of the agenda, number 1 on the Agenda, Alira Hoffman and Stephen Hardigan, 16 Cove Road, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-61-1-69.
We're going to move that, right?
What?
We're going to move that to number 7.
No, no.
Sorry.
Oh,
It's okay.
I sent him a note. I had a Sag Harbor meeting. Rushed over here.
So sorry, I was under false impression. I'm sorry,
Applicant
John.
requests relief from the following town code sections for a proposed pool in a required side yard. 1, Section 330-6, general regulations that references Section 330-11, residence district's table of dimensional regulations for an accessory side yard setback from 20 feet to 13 feet. And 2, Section 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts. And 3, Section 330-83C, yards, to allow the pool to be located in a required side yard on a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
What is jurisdiction, Madam Chair?
Okay, thank you.
Happy New Year, board.
Happy New Year.
I don't believe you're an attorney, right?
I'm not.
Okay, so let me swear you in.
Okay.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Matt Ivan, South Fork Environmental. Address is 38 High Street, Sag Harbor, New York.
Okay, tell us about your application.
Okay, so let me give you a little background. So the property owner in this case, they wish to install a 12 by 28 swimming pool along the southeasterly side of the dwelling, as you can see on the survey. This will require relief from 330-11 for accessory side yard setback of 15, where 20 feet is required, which is relief of 7 feet, and relief from 330-76D and 330-83C for placement of the pool within a required side yard. So when we were trying to get this pool in there, our difficulties we ran into is, number one, this lot is pre-existing non-conforming with respect to size for the R40. We are also burdened with wetlands along the southerly shoreline, which then rolls into the next thing. We are required, in order to get a wetlands permit, to establish substantially sized non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer, which takes over, I would say, almost 55 to 60% of the lot, at least the southerly half. The other factor that dictated where we put the pool was the fact that we were installing a new septic system, a new IA system, and the only placement we could put that would be to the north of the house. And finally, to the west, there is an existing, it's an in-place easement that prohibits any structures within. So those were the hardships we dealt with. So what we did was we came up with a somewhat of a substandard size pool, 12 by 28, again located along the side of the dwelling, as you can see. With respect to character of the neighborhood, we don't think it's going to have much of an impact whatsoever. I did a little bit of research. I did not submit this with the initial application, but let me just submit it now.
You submit it to,
Okay.
okay.
So-
Oh, you have your copy, okay. Sorry.
We're still learning the new system.
We getting. Okay, so what's being passed down here? I did a little research today, just to give an idea of the neighborhood. So what we have is, I believe we have within the immediate neighborhood, there's about there's 20 pools total, 3 of which were obtained through variances from the board. So we don't believe there's going to be much, there's not going to be a change in the character of the neighborhood. Is the variance substantial? We don't believe so. The requested dimensional relief is only 7 feet, with the proposed swimming pool achieving 65% of the required setback. Again, going through the variances, we're more or less on the low end of variance relief that has been granted from this board in the past. And finally, again, this pool is going to be almost undetectable from almost any neighbor. The most impacted neighbor to the east, right now there's already substantial screening from the neighbor to the east. His house or her house is situated to the north of that pool next door. So I don't really believe they're going to be impacted. All the other residences, again, you're going to have a house. You have the neighbors to the west. They're not going to see the house or see the pool because of the existing house. It's got to be about 200 feet from the road. This thing, there's almost no way you're going to see this.
It's a flag lot.
What's that?
It's a long flag lot.
Yeah. Impact of physical or environmental conditions. We have in place both approvals from the DEC and the Town of Southampton Conservation Board, which again required the establishment of that buffer within the southerly section of the property. With this approval, again, we will be installing an IA out system in place of the existing system. And that's about it, actually. So I'm here to answer any and all questions.
So, quick question for you, two questions actually. Have you heard anything from the neighbors on the east?
I have not personally, no.
And when I look at the drawing, it looks like there could be room to push the pool a little closer to the existing house to
This-
make the 13 less, or am I not understanding? the
Right
drawing?
now, you have about 4 feet from that cellar entrance,
Okay.
so we're just thinking about enough room for maintenance around it.
So in other words, you couldn't push it further.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be tight.
The foliage to the east
Mhm.
on this aerial that you provide us, that big tree that looks to be between the neighbor's pool and the house on the subject property, that's still there? What's it? Like
Actually, all
pretty
the
big
trees
and
should be
mature
there,
tree?
yeah.
Okay, and there's no intention of removing that?
Oh, I see. No,
see
because
that
it's
big
just
tree?
simply not in the way.
Because that's a
Yeah,
beautiful buffer.
yeah. No, that's not in the way, period.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it looks like the pool is going to be somewhat south of the neighbor's pool.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there would be no objection to maintaining a vegetative screening on
No.
that side?
Not at all.
Okay. Do you have a wetlands permit?
I do. That may have been part of the application package. If it was not, I will
It was
provide
not.
the board with a copy.
We have the resolution, but we don't have the permit.
Okay. I will
So,
get you that, yeah.
Yeah, we would need to have a
Okay.
copy of the permit. You
Okay.
can do that as part of written submission.
Okay.
Julie, this is yours. Is there anything else that you
Yeah,
wish to?
I don't have further questions. I don't know if anyone else
Does
on
anyone
the
on
board
the
has
board
questions.
have anything they want to say? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application of 16 Cove Road? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application? Okay, Julie, this is yours.
Okay, so we are going to close the public hearing, keep it open for written submissions until January 17, with a decision slated for February 6.
Second.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Rohan.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Aye. Chair votes aye. Okay, and you'll submit the.
I'll get that over to Candace.
The
hopefully
wetlands
by
permit.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
board.
Happy New Year.
Okay, number 2 on the agenda, Changi, 13 Ochre Lane, Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-211-2-20. Applicant requests a relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1, Section 330-6, General Regulations that references 330-11, Residence District's Table of Dimensional Regulations for a principal front yard setback, northerly property line, new lane, from 80 feet to 66.6 feet plus or minus for a proposed 2-story dwelling, and 2, Section 330-83D yards to allow the proposed 4-foot 8-inch basement stairway attached to the north side of the dwelling to encroach more than 4 feet into the required front yard, to wit, at a setback of 61 feet 11 inches on a non-conforming lot, and any other relief necessary.
What is jurisdiction, Madam Chair?
Miguel Weinstein Architect, 41 Yukon Drive, Woodbury, New York, 11791.
All right, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, why don't you tell us about this application?
So we are requesting the relief of the front yard setback to New Lane Road from 80 feet to 66 foot 6 for a proposed 2-story dwelling, and for a proposed basement stairway 4 foot 8 inches encroaching into the front yard setback to 61 feet 11 inches. This property has been in single and separate ownership since 1956. So that was before the change zone from 1957. So this property is in non-conformance, and that's why we have this problem of front setback here. The granting of the variance will not cause any undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood and will not create any detriment to the nearby properties. The benefit of the variance request cannot be achieved by any other method, and the variance is not substantial because it is for the construction of a single-family dwelling, and the granting of the variance will not have any adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood.
Okay, I know Kevin's going to ask you a number of questions. We've seen you before on this property,
Yes.
and a variance was granted. So Kevin, do you want to start with the questions?
It was a little difficult. Walk us through how this application is different than what was previously granted only 8 months ago. And what's the difference? Because I can't tell.
Okay, the difference is that we were going to do an addition to the house. While we're doing the demolition, the house came down, and so we are building a new house. And
I'm sorry, wait a second. So when you were doing the
demolition.
the demolition to make the adjustments,
Addition.
the renovations,
Correct.
the house fell down.
Correct. So we already have a demolition permit, and now we are in the process of obtaining the new building permit for the new house. And the main difference of this new house with the house before was that the old house had a structure that was built in the 1990s that was only 9 inches from the neighbor to the east side. The neighbor to the east side wasn't happy that we had a structure so close to the property, and to do that we had to reshape a little bit the house. So now we comply with the setbacks of the side yard regulations, and we comply with the sky exposure setbacks that before we were not doing.
Okay.
So when you say doing demolition, it came down, more of the structure came down than was supposed to come down?
Correct. This house was an old house, and it was a brick foundation. So the brick foundation collapsed underneath. We think that always caused from before that there used to be a house next door, and they removed some big trees that probably had roots growing into. Again, we were only 9 inches away, so probably the roots were growing into the foundation of the house that was brick, and when we start doing the cleanup, the foundation goes disintegrated. Right.
So did that require you to redo the plans for the home?
Correct.
Okay, and so what I'm seeing in the variance is that this basement stairwell was, the variance relief was to allow it to be in the side yard. Now it's in the front yard.
This
In
house
the
has
original, it
two.
was a side yard, now it's front yard,
Correct,
correct?
and this house has 2 front yards.
Right, exactly,
One
right.
in Ocker and one in New Lane.
But previously, the basement stairwell was in the side yard.
Correct.
Okay.
So is that the only difference? What else is different?
That's it.
Nothing. So
That's basically the difference. Right?
Well, there was
Well, there
pyramid
was one
relief.
story versus 2 stories.
No, always was a 2-story home.
It was, well, in the original survey, it says 1 story.
Where that was the original house was 1.5 stories, but the modification for the addition that we were doing, that we had the building permit, was a 2-story home.
And you got 584 cubic feet of pyramid relief at that time, which you don't need anymore.
We don't need it because now we are not in, we moved the house, so.
You changed where the foundation location
So-
is?
Correct.
just to be clear, because sometimes it isn't,
So what do we do?
the
We
only
vacate the
thing you're
prior
here tonight
variance?
for is
Yeah.
the fact that the stairwell to the basement
Right.
is formerly on the side of the house, now is
In the
to the New Lane
Front side.
street side. That's the only reason you're here, everything else is the
No,
same.
No.
also the house is at
Is it
the,
a somewhat different location?
correct. And
Right, and there's the setback.
and also the setback for the proposed 2-story home for the, at New Lane, right,
The 80 feet. Yeah.
correct.
Right.
So you're
Okay.
And,
Eighty
and the
years
fact
asking
that
for 61.
it's only 42 feet on Okra is the fact that there was already
A house there.
a house
that
there
res-
with But there is a difference because the house that was there was 48 feet removed, and
To
now
the-
you're asking for 42
Well, it
setback.
was 4811 to the foundation, and then had a 6-foot porch in front.
Okay,
uh,
okay, so that's how you got to the 42. So,
Correct.
so the front of the house on Okra
Okay, yeah.
is still at the same setback, the original?
Exactly the
Okay, so the
original.
only thing you're asking for is the setback on New Lane?
Correct, and there is some comments on, from the building department, I don't know if you read it, okay,
Okay.
at the end of the
It
page.
benefits from the continuance.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
So-
you know, there was some confusion about whether you demolished this house intentionally, but I did see that there was an October building permit allowing for the demolition, but the demolition occurred in the spring.
Correct. Again, it was not intentional. Partly was because we were only 9 inches and they demolished the house next door first, like in 2017. And they took some really big trees that they were right along the yard,
Okay.
and probably the roots were grown into the foundation.
So would it be helpful for the record to have, let's say,
Yeah.
a red survey of the prior house in its prior location, and then superimposed on that where you're putting the new proposed building, so that we could see the contrast clearly without doing a lot of mathematical gymnastics to get all that. And then a statement of change from last ZBA approval to this request,
Correct.
right? So there's no ambiguity about what we're being asked to consider.
Correct.
Because
Okay.
you know we don't like two bites at the apple. We don't want somebody to get a variance, then come back and say, oh, and by the way, I'd like to bump. So this seems like it's an exception to that rule because it seems like the foundation collapsed.
The house
So,
fell down.
yeah, the house went down. So,
What do we do with the other variants?
well, the other variance
It's
is
not-
superseded by the new
Yeah.
variance.
Okay, so
And
it
it's
still
no-
stays with the fact that
I guess it stays on
On the
the record,
record.
Kathleen. I mean,
Well, that's a fair point, right?
yeah.
No, you
that's
can,
what I-
I mean, if the applicant has no problem, they
This
can.
supersedes?
Yeah, they can concede in the decision that this supersedes. Remember too, your decisions are tied to specific surveys. And so that survey is going to show exactly what was granted. And conceivably will not show anything that was granted in the previous.
Right, that's why I
Right.
think putting both superimposed in one survey, I think would be a mistake.
Okay.
I'm not sure, I don't think I would do that. I don't think that
Not,
would
not
be.
for the final approved,
I was gonna say, yeah, just for the record is okay, but not for,
not for the final approved survey. Agreed.
Yeah.
I take my colleague's point.
So what are we asking him to do? To provide for information,
A drawing.
superimposed, but for purposes of granting the variance, it'll
Correct.
be just with the new,
survey.
the
Correct.
survey will just have the new construction. Okay.
Does anybody else have any? I mean, I appreciate you all jumping in. And if there's any other issues, Susan, you want to just?
I'm going to ask anybody else on the board? Yes, go ahead.
We go on this, if I'm not mistaken, on that survey.
Yeah.
As you can see, the way the application was written up, it says 66.6 plus or minus. That setback needs to be put on the survey from the property line, that front property line to the wall. Because the one that's on the survey shows it only to
The
the
porch.
proposed stairway.
Right,
We'll do
the
that.
stairs, yes, you have to have them both. Okay. All right, so is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on this matter? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard? Okay, so then just to recap from my personal, you're gonna do an informational survey that's gonna superimpose the original and the proposed, and then you're gonna do a clean copy of the proposed for purposes of granting the variance.
Perfect, no problem.
Okay. And that can be done through written comments.
And how much time would you need?
Tomorrow I could be sending.
He's the architect,
Yeah.
he's gonna get it done.
Well,
Yeah, we'll
tell you what,
close the hearing.
Yeah.
let's go to
Yeah.
117, and if you needed bump, more bumps. All right,
Yeah,
so.
yeah,
So then, let's take written comments from any member of the public. A motion to take written comments on the application of Cheng Di, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, I hope. close of business on 1/17 with a decision for 2/6.
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Revenant?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay,
Thank you very
Miguel.
much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank
Good night.
Thank you.
Number 4 on the agenda, Island-Wide Premier Services Incorporated, 13A Summit Boulevard, West Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-354-3-3.2. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a proposed two-lot subdivision. 1, for proposed Lot 1, Section 330-6, General Regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence District Table of Dimensional Regulations for lot area from 40,000 square feet to 29,288 square feet and lot width from 150 feet to 118.19 feet. And 2, Section 330-82, lot width for road frontage from 40 feet to 0 feet. And 3, for proposed lot number 2, Section 330-6 that references Section 330-11 for lot area from 40,000 square feet to 35,622.7 square feet, and lot width from 150 to 150 feet to 125.71 feet, and Section 330-82 for road frontage from 40 feet to 0 feet, and any other relief necessary.
Board's jurisdiction, Madam Chair.
Mr. Hume, would you like to introduce yourself and
Sure.
tell us your address?
For the
please?
applicant,
Yes.
James N. Hume of Kelly and Hume PC, 323 Mill Road, West Hampton Beach, New York. Happy New Year. Good to see you all.
Okay, so tell us about this application.
Sure. So what I'm handing out right now is an aerial photograph of the premises, which shows the lot in question in the center, outlined in yellow, if you can detect the yellow
See it.
there. And if you went there, what you would see is a vacant lot that's approximately 65,000 square feet. It is, or until the current time, is landlocked. Access to it is subject to a 20-foot wide easement that runs across the property located at 15 Summit Boulevard, which is the property to the northeast of the subject property. I think you can see the dirt driveway on the map. The other challenge for this property is that the R40 and the R20 line goes right through the middle of the property. But in any event, we're seeking to divide this property into 2 lots. We have been to the preliminarily to the planning board on actually 2 applications. One was an application for a boundary line modification between 13 and 15 Summit, which would transfer the 20-foot wide easement to the rear lots, so that ultimately, if this project is approved, the lots in the back would have deeded access as opposed to access via an easement. We went to the planning board and looked at, we weren't 100% certain how best to proceed. Subdivision-wise, subject to the dividing line for the 2 zones going down the middle of the property. And so we
Jim,
just,
let me go.
Can you do this? If they can share, I can give you 2. Sure. So, sorry, I didn't bring quite enough copies, but if you all could share. So we presented to the planning board 2 separate plans. The first plan shows a north-south division, and it creates 2 lots, a lot in the R20, solely in the R20 of 20,000 square feet, and a lot in the R40 that was 44,000 square feet. And the second one we presented to the zoning board shows an east-west. Planning board, sorry.
It's
Well,
okay.
the zoning board now, but the planning board shows an east-west division of the property, with one of the lots being 35,000 square feet and the other lot being 29,000 square feet. The planning board expressed in their pre-app report a preference for the second second configuration, the one with the east-west division line, for a number of reasons, and I submitted as part of the application the pre-app report. And it does create two more substantial lots as opposed to a really big lot and a really small lot. If you go back to the aerial photograph for a minute, you'll see that this lot is kind of transitional almost, if you will, which is probably why the line was drawn, unfortunately not on a property line, but through the middle of the property. If you look at the properties to the east of this location, they are, for the most part, quite a bit smaller than what we're proposing. And if you look to the west, they are slightly or a little bit larger, but not significantly larger than what we're ultimately proposing.
Excuse me, can I, just so I'm sure
Sure.
I understand which one you're saying, the planning board preferred, it's the one with one lot having 35,622 square feet and the other having 29,280.
Correct. Yes, that's the
north-south divide.
the north. Yes. I know the east-west division.
East-west.
East-west division. Yes, and that's actually the plan that was submitted to the zoning board itself is reflective of that. That preference as expressed by the,
This
that one,
is the
yes.
preference.
That's the preference from the planning board. And I think for a lot of reasons, developing this lot in this manner makes a lot more sense in the context of the neighborhood than creating a little pocket lot and then a really big lot that wraps around it. And so that is why we have proceeded in that manner. So even though it technically requires some maybe more significant variances because of the various lot sizes from a planning perspective and from a neighborhood perspective, I think it makes a lot more sense in that regard. And I think causing the easement to become an actual deeded part of each of the properties I think prevents, I spend a lot of my time these days fighting over easements and who has the right. So it certainly would make the ultimate development of the property.
Can I just chime in for 1 second?
Sure.
So just so you know, when the planning board looks, it's not my project. Can't hear me in this building. Hard to believe.
You can be downstairs.
I'm downstairs.
Yes.
The planning board, when we looked at this, I told the applicant, show us what the lots look like within the respective zoning, so we could see that we could get a lot in the 20,000, the R20, and a lot in the R40. However, the planning board didn't like the layout that way. This was the layout. The planning board has no ability to modify the zoning in this case because it's not a cluster plan. So that was sort of, a little explanation of why we went in this direction.
While you're talking, were there any other major planning issues that presented?
No, he clarified, what they're showing are two 10-foot wide flag strips, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I believe then, you're not asking for zero road
we're asking
frontage,
for
you're asking for
10-foot.
10-foot wide
Yes.
flag strips. Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
With the understanding that they're going to build a 20-foot common driveway so that there will be access. But I think they need 14
That would
feet
be
for
required.
like ambulances and that kind of fire and stuff, okay.
Yes. So that's
And
what
then each will have an easement to the other.
yes. There'll be a series of mutual easements. So
Why
that,
is there a difference between R20 and R40, the lot?
Size.
sorry.
Why did you say show a difference with R20
Oh,
and
because the
R40?
property split zone, so we wanted to see, if you're asking for two lots, can you get one lot in R20 and one lot that conforms in R40?
That's
That's
what I
what we know
thought.
with the density, regardless of the relief needed, we're not asking for any additional density beyond what they're allowed.
So that's the other drawing that I had given you. Shows you get this little tiny lot here and then this big lot that wraps around. So fully understood. And the other thing is that the map that we submitted also shows the property developed as with the R40 setbacks. And so in terms of neighborhood impacts, each of the neighbors would get what they're entitled to even if there was only one house. So the properties to the south, the development on this property is a side yard, which is 30 foot to the north. It's whether there was one house or two houses there, that's where the setback would be.
Is that something that you're proposing or that the planning board is going to impose as a condition?
I'm not sure that was necessarily, but.
I mean, the question I'm getting at is what's the formality and the actual implementation of a representation like that?
Well, I think that if you incorporated it into your decision, it
I
would be
think we'd
beneficial.
have to,
Okay, thank you. I was
because,
just
yeah, I mean,
curious
it's
who had it.
the second bite at the apple concept again. You know,
Right.
we don't want you coming back
Sure.
and saying, okay, now we want 20 feet.
Right. Yeah, no.
So that part of the variance would be that,
Yeah.
you know, they would adhere to all setback requirements
For the
For the
R40
zone.
yes.
for R40.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Thank you.
But because of that, everybody gets what they would get, even if it was a single house. Obviously, with two houses, the houses themselves are smaller. I think more in keeping with the neighborhood, particularly to the east. But as I said, this is kind of a transitional area, so properties on Summit are one size. This is kind of in between, a little bit bigger, and we're a little bit bigger beyond us. So
There's no relief needed for the pools or any?
no, everything would fit within the setbacks provided for under the R40. So that's basically the application.
Okay, any comments from the board?
So I had more issues with this than I do now, so I appreciate the explanation. And if the planning board already is satisfied that there's a two-lot subdivision, and now it's a question of design, I'm more comfortable with the justification for the proposal with the caveats, that you're willing to accept for the condition. So I feel better about this.
So let me just clarify one thing. So
Sure.
what you're saying is if you had gone with the one lot being R20 and one lot being R40,
Right.
that the setbacks on the R20 to the property south
Mhm.
would be
R20
less-
setbacks, yes.
R20 setbacks,
Right.
which are less. So that
Yes.
this is actually an improvement in terms of setbacks to the neighbors.
Correct.
Okay. All right, just want to put that on the record because I think that's important to state.
And would you have needed variances from the R20 setbacks,
No, I don't believe so.
even with the size of the
Yeah, I
homes?
think that the variances we would need, it would obviously the 20,000 and the 40,000 square foot lots would eliminate the lot area variances that we're seeking. But
You
This
still have
is-
the 10-foot wide.
so we'd
Yeah.
still have the 10-foot wide. But I think this is an example where the property with the variance is better for the community than without the variance.
Yeah, I like the way planning did it better than.
Right.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application? Is there anyone
Yes.
on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application?
Yeah, this is Peter Schwartz. I'm actually here with my wife. She's off the screen. I don't think she's going to
All right,
speak.
Peter,
but
are you
wanna
an
let know
attorney?
She's here with me.
Peter,
We live in the property at 10
before
Corner
you,
Court, but go ahead.
before you say anything, are you an attorney?
I am not I'm an attorney, but I don't represent myself and I don't do real estate work.
All right, well, let me swear
So-
you in. To just cover all bases. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please state your name and address.
Peter Schwartz, and the address in West Hampton is 10 Corner Court.
Okay, Peter, tell us your comments.
Sure. I guess I object to a number of things. These objections were raised in the previous hearing, but as I understand, and again, I'm not a land use attorney, this is all outside of my expertise, that they were proper to be raised in this hearing. I guess the first question I have is whether there should be any building on the lot. There's a whole lot of flag lots in the neighborhood, probably too many, and my understanding was that the town law allows the planning board to permit a limited number of flag lots in a residential subdivision plot. And frankly, with all the flag lots in the neighborhood, there's way too many houses already next to our house. So we're not sure there should be any building on this plot. If building is allowed, then we certainly don't think there should be a subdivision allowed. As I understand it, and again, I'm not a land use attorney, certainly not in the town of Southampton, but as I understand it, for flag lots, they're supposed to be at least 1.5 times the size of a normal lot. This is Town Code 29238E. And so even given the current size of this lot, it's barely 1.5 times of R40. So to take what's kind of a lot that barely fits the proper size and then split it into two in a non-conforming way, we think is inappropriate. And I guess I'd like to address a few of the statements that were made in terms of the neighborhood, the east to the west. Obviously, to the east is an R20 zone. That's why the houses are smaller there. We live in an R40 zone. So these two houses that are intended to be built right next to our house, they're right next to ours, which is an R40 zone. So things are not getting better for us than a normal zoning situation. They're getting worse because we're building two houses instead of one in a lot where we don't think anything should be built. And I guess, to answer a few other questions in the application, will the variance create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood? Or, and will it create a detriment to any nearby properties? I think yes and yes. You're talking about creating kind of R20 zoning density in an R40 neighborhood with a flag lot, causing way too much density. Can the benefits sought be obtained by any other method? Obviously, if the benefit is two houses, then of course not. But if they wanted to build a 10-story house, they couldn't do that either. So the idea of the benefit, they could, if a subdivision was allowed, you certainly could put the R40 in the R40 area and the R20 in the R20 area. Again, we don't think there should be a subdivision, but if there was, you could keep the R20, the smaller houses in the Summit area and the larger houses in the West Hampton in the Porter Court area. So there would be a way to accomplish two houses if the board thought two houses was appropriate. We don't think two houses is appropriate.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Hume, would you like to respond?
Well, just, as I indicated, this, by its nature, is a transitional property because the R20, R40 line goes right through the middle of it, and that creates a challenge for this lot. I think that we've reached a nice compromise by the manner in which it's being subdivided, even though it does require a little bit more lot area relief. I think the two lots are very much in keeping with the neighborhood taken as a whole. And the Schwartzes are getting, whatever we build there, the Schwartzes are getting the 70-foot rear yard setback that is the only thing that they're entitled to under the code. So it's really not that impactful on them in particular. And again, I think the charge for the board is neighborhood impacts, not the impact on any individual neighbors.
Anthony, do you want to respond to any of that? Any of the comments?
Well, to the point that he said he doesn't think anything should go there. That's not a realistic.
It's not realistic.
The property is split zone, so and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, it has both R20 and R40. So we can't say as the planning board that it's not appropriate to have an R20 or an R40. We're dealing with a split zone. So in the planning board's review of this, the better option we believe in the layout was to make them more even in size, to lay them out that's consistent with the pattern of the lots in the area. And the planning board will, as we go through this, we will look at buffers, and we always try to buffer between neighbors. As for the common driveway, the planning board's bigger concerns are too many individual driveways on roads that have major traffic issues. So believe it or not, we do flag lots to address too many driveways on a road. In terms of limiting the number of flag lots in a subdivision, I know what he's talking about. There's a section of the code that talks about the planning board may authorize a limited number of flag lots on a subdivision map. So when we're looking at a large subdivision and we're looking at it, 20 lots, 30, whatever it is, the planning board can limit flag lots if they want to have their discretion. This 1.5 times the lot area requirement, just so this board knows, that is not a zoning requirement of the code. It is a subdivision design element that the planning board can consider, but it's not required. It's at the planning board's discretion, and when they review a subdivision, they make a determination as to whether or not they're going to require the 1.5 times, and it depends on a whole, number of things that we look at. If the pattern of development in a community is of a certain lot size, then we probably wouldn't require 1.5 times.
Okay, that's very good. Thank you for that clarification. It was helpful. And also the clarification about the common driveway, so that you're not adding lots of different driveways. You're trying to
Trying to decrease
put
the
them,
number of driveways.
decrease the number of driveways, yes, so that's good. Is there anybody else on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this matter?
I guess I wasn't able to finish my comments. I had two last comments. First of all, again, if there is going to be building, I'm not sure why there should be a subdivision and why there should be two properties that are now going to be 60% of the size they should be. If building is allowed, we certainly think buffers should be a requirement, potentially a fence, and I think the board should consider requiring a single rather than two-story dwelling. If you look at the neighborhood, the last flag lot that was built right next to our house was built as a single-story dwelling, not as a two-story dwelling. We think the board should consider that as a requirement. For sure, if you're going to consider two houses, but even for one.
Okay, that's not something that that's before us right now, and generally not something that we mandate. So we do look at pyramid relief, and we do require that, any pyramid relief has to come to the board, and that would be our consideration. But right now, we're not dealing with that issue. And I think you heard from the planning board people that they're going to consider buffers and other kinds of things in their final decisions. So, okay. Anybody else who wishes to be heard on this matter? And Mr. Schwartz, feel free to submit written comments.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, please do. Bob, this is yours.
This is mine, so you can get everything to some written submissions?
Sure. But just one final thing. This is not in the record, but I'll have to make it part of the record. This is Mr. Schwartz's house relative to
Yeah.
the property.
We could see it on the survey.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
good.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Okay, so Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to close the public meeting, hold it open for written submissions until January 17th with a decision on February 6th.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Aye. Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you
Are
very
you
much.
looking for anything further from me? I don't
I don't-
think so. No, okay.
I don't think we need.
All right, great.
No.
Mr. Schwartz, do you want to?
Well,
send
we
anything?
did
Vote right
suggest
now.
that he can submit written comments, so.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Number 5 on the agenda, Janice Lee Golson, 314 North McGee Street, Tuckahoe, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-129-2-7.1. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-10A6, Residence Districts Table of Use Regulations, as it relates to Town Code Section 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, and Town Code Section 247-4, Yield, to allow a 4-lot PRD where only 3 conforming lots can be created and any other relief necessary.
What is jurisdiction, Madam Chair?
Mr. Benacasa, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York, for the applicant. Good evening and Happy New Year to you all. I think it's important to note the unique way in which this is actually being processed. The subdivision map that you're looking at is not going to be the subdivision that is ultimately approved by the planning board. You're looking at the full yield map.
All right, what are we looking at here?
So if you look at that map that you have right there.
This here?
Yep. So that's a full yield map. That's a map that's laid out to address the maximum yield that and conforming lot sizes that are permitted on this parcel. This parcel contains sufficient lot area for a 4-lot subdivision.
Well, wait, you said permitted. It's not what's permitted on this parcel, it's what could exist on
What
this
the
parcel.
yield map, generally, the yield map is generally what
It's
is
the maximum
permitted.
possibility of what
That's
could
right.
exist on the parcel.
That's right.
Permission is what we will grant you.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So, well, the permission that you're granted is with respect to 1 lot on the yield map, and its lot width. The lot area for all 4 lots is sufficient within the mother parcel. So, we had a pre-submission report or pre-submission process. We had a hearing, and ultimately, it was decided the board's preference was for a cluster plan, which called for a large swath of open space in the rear of the parcel, 4 smaller lots, and a buffer along the south on 2 of the lots, to serve as a buffer between these lots and the neighbors. But when these was submitted for a variance, again, the relief requested is for that, the yield map, thereby giving us 4 lots for the cluster map. So it's a little confusing. I'm gonna
It's
have
more than
Anthony jump into.
more than a little,
Yeah.
and this is, yeah, Anthony, you need to go through this
I don't
for
need to
us.
see it, I have it memorized.
So, in order to get a cluster map, you need to have a yield map. And the yield map says generally, this is the lots you're permitted here. And then based on that number of lots permitted, the planning board will take that number and apply it to a cluster map, which is smaller lots, more open space. And that's what they've done here. The yield map, again, is what generally is what is permitted. The reason we're here tonight is because under the yield map, which is the full-sized lots, all meeting lot area, one lot, given the unique shape of this parcel, requires lot width relief.
And which one is that?
That's the front lot,
The one on North McGee.
the one on North McGill. So while you are considering this technically for yield, in essence, you are considering it, and Anthony, please contradict me if I'm saying anything inaccurate. In essence, you are considering one lot for lot width. And if you agree that that lot width is appropriate on that one yield map, we can then proceed with a 4-lot subdivision that will be subject to the cluster plan that was preferred by the planning board, introduced during our pre-submission hearing with the planning board.
We don't have that, do we?
Yeah, there's a.
You do not
pre-submission
have
report.
that, no, because you're just considering the yield.
I know.
I forwarded
You do
pre-submission.
have the.
I forwarded the pre-submission.
Where is it? Is it in our submittals?
So we just got that tonight,
Yeah.
right?
All right, let's see if we can
that'll be
find
good to
it.
look at.
So, all right, so that's a good description. So when the planning board gets a subdivision application, as this is correct, it says standard yield map. They're required to submit a standard map. Standard map shows how many lots you could get on there that conform to zoning. Obviously, it's less than a calculation because you got to show a road. We also require a park area that's calculated. It's 0.05 times each lot, so it may look small, but that's the minimum. We just haven't taken it out. Then the planning board looks and says, okay, now we have a standard yield map. They are allowed 4 lots, or allowed 3 lots, 5 lots. Then the planning board has a number of things they could do. And one of them is to do a cluster plan. We say, okay, thank you for the 4 lots, and we want 25% or 50% or whatever the minimum required.
Smaller lots, more open space.
Smaller lots and then open space. In this particular case, the planning board said, okay, 3 or 4 lots, depending on the scenario, and then we're going to scrap this map. We're going to take the 3 or 4 lots, we're going to cluster them, and we're going to do open space in the back because adjacent to this is already existing town open space. This map,
This is the cluster map.
currently, this is maybe not.
The fundamental flaw in this conversation is that to demonstrate a yield map, you have to show that you have the number of lots conforming to the zoning code.
Yeah.
And one lot fails. So I appreciate the cluster.
And that's why we're
wonderful.
here,
What?
right?
Yeah, that's why we're
So
seeking
the-
variance.
No, I understand that, but if this was an isolated question and we would never see this again, I'd be less concerned. But
Well,
let me just finish the point. I'm concerned about future applications coming in saying, we want yield calculation relief so we can get more density on a subdivision lot we would never otherwise be able to get. And why on earth wouldn't other people ask for the same relief? There's, you could put a carriage house, you could put an apartment over a garage. I mean, there's other ways of getting density legally that don't obligate us to do a thing.
Well, it's not just about we're asking for it, so we should get it. There's context for it. There's standards. And the reality is that this exists in a neighborhood where the lot width on that most southern lot is actually larger than many of the existing lot widths for other lots in the area. We did an analysis.
You're talking about, before we go, you're talking about this, right?
That lot.
And the lot is the dotted line, and, I mean,
The lot, the dotted line's the building envelope.
Yeah.
The lot is this.
There's a building envelope on the lot. So the lot is,
is actually this right here.
Anthony, can you
I'm
put
sorry.
this way?
The lot is this right here. So when you're looking.
Wait a second, I didn't see it. It's this,
This L shape,
oh, it's L-shaped, so it goes around the,
that's right.
Goes around.
oh,
So what they're showing here,
And the
is the
reality-
minimum is 120-foot wide lot width is the minimum requirement. Zoning, they're showing 116.39. That's what's existing there. So the planning board in this particular case, I've got this layout of facts that says it in the report, laid it out. The planning board simply says you could either do an affordable lot and we could give you the lot. You don't have to go to zoning board, or you got to get relief for it. That's the options that we proposed.
So if it was affordable,
Planning board didn't take off,
We don't need you.
particular position in this case because it's,
which
you know.
in a sense
But,
contradicts.
you know, just
Yes.
one, I'd like to, your point is very well taken. The planning board has these discussions all the time, particularly about two-lot subdivisions, Hampton Bays, for example, school district issues. I'm not, you know, so you have to make your decision based on the facts here, and that's what you got. Some things, you know, why we don't see this too often on something like a 3-lot or a 4-lot, why they're not asking for 5 lots, because once you go over 4 lots and you go to 5 lots, you have to do affordable housing. So you have that limitation. So no one's coming in saying, I'm allowed 4 lots, can I have 5? Because if you did that, then we'd have to give them 6. We'd have to give them an automatic density incentive for affordable housing. So I'm not, you know, I'm just trying to say, here are some other things in the code, you know, that, you know.
That sort of work against that.
That work against it,
You're
but,
opening
you know,
the
that being
floodgate.
said, the point is well taken, and, you know, we have this discussion with the planning board all the time. You know, at 3.5 feet, I can't sit here, you know, as a planner and one way or the other, say that this would be catastrophic.
But just to Kevin's question, hypothetically, if we said, no, we don't want to grant this variance, you guys could have a 3-lot.
Yes,
You could have 4.
one's affordable.
But the fourth one would be affordable. You wouldn't need any relief on that. So
Well-
they're gonna get 4 no matter what.
They're going to get 4, and one could be affordable. And don't we have an incentive to create
Well,
affordable housing?
not if they, well, what if they did 3 lots here and their lots are 40,000 square feet or 50,000 square feet? They could go and each get an affordable apartment on there. We could get 6.
So it's just
We'll take,
really.
listen, I'll take 3
Which
affordable
is
rental units.
massive
If
density.
we could get them. So if you want to go down that road, I'll take 6.
So that would make, instead of 3 dwelling units,
And 3
6 dwelling units.
I'm just, you know, the options for subdividing
I
and
think-
getting density, there's a number of ways in the code that are built, you know, to do it. Planning board
I'm
could,
talking 3.5
planning board
feet.
could do 50% increase in your yield automatically for affordable housing if we want to get more
I'd
affordable.
like to just go back a little bit.
credit
They
and
could buy Pine Barrens credit, and for a market rate house though, when you buy Pine Barrens credit, you get market rate, not
I understand.
I think we're just getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah,
a
I
little bit
think-
because hold on. Looking at your application and then looking at the yield map, the numbers don't match. You're asking in your application for relief for 2 lots. Lot 3 and 4 require relief. Minimum lot width of 141.36 where 150 is required and 128.86 where 150 is required. Where is that on this map?
That
Because you're
was-
now telling me you
Well, I
want
can explain.
yield relief for lot 1.
That was an old map.
That's it.
That was
You
the
provide
application
application.
went in a certain matter, staff considered it and revised it to the relief we're seeking today.
Okay, so I should be looking at the map you gave us today?
No,
Is
that's
this, what
the,
is this? Is a survey? Where
that's a
is-
map. And is that the full,
Let me see that.
yeah, that's the map that you're,
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
John, was there an application attached to that survey? Because when your application package, just so you know, when your application package is mailed
I
to
got
you,
this
you did not have that
application
revised
and I got
application.
this map. And when I look at, hold on, so when I'm looking at your application, you're saying you need relief for lot 4. But both maps show that lot 4 has a lot width of 150 feet, which is what's required.
yeah, what we're saying is there was an initial application based on the cluster. It was revised when staff reviewed it and said that the variance should be based on the yield map. And that's why there's a distinction between the initial application and what you're seeing now.
But why don't any of the numbers jive?
Because you're looking at the old application. Do they have the revised one?
You should have a document.
Oh, is
It-
this-
it's in
oh,
the
wait.
And the application itself was
That came-
revised
that
based
came
on
in the
what was
package
advertised.
when we got it.
There
And
was an-
submitted to us today, and we got it today.
just
This was in our
submitted a long
submissions
time
today.
ago. I don't know when you got it.
So,
We got it on the
submitted
30th.
December 30th, so we just got it today.
yeah, we just got it today.
Well, submitted to you.
Yeah, your
Okay.
letter is dated December 30th. What's today? January 2nd?
Second.
Okay, thank you very much.
For the holiday in between.
Yeah, all right, so we didn't get it. Let me just put it that way. I mean, it
Okay.
wasn't submitted that far in
Fine.
advance.
But
so we
that's
didn't
what
get it.
happened. That's why
Okay.
they don't.
So what you're saying is that the actual, does this have to be re-advertised?
But this application, this new application doesn't even identify which lot you're telling us you need lot 1. It doesn't say it in here. I mean, this,
It
understandably, this is an esoteric area,
Yeah,
and this is confusing.
it is confusing. So
Very
what you're asking for now is relief to allow 4-lot PRD where only 3 conforming lots can be created. Doesn't say anything about width.
So, and you're,
A 4-lot, yes, because
Okay.
it's, in essence, it's a lot width request. But staff had asked that we process it as a yield, as a relief to yield. Because one of the lots in the yield map is under lot
which is lot 1
1.
at 116.36 feet.
That's right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so
120
I
is
can
required.
highlight that.
150.
150.
It's at 150.
150 is required. So you've got lot 2 is over at 152.64, lot 3 is over at 173, and lot 4 comes in exactly at 150. So all we're looking at right now on the yield map is lot 1.
Okay.
Anthony,
Anthony,
in terms of the request, is it meaningful that, or is it helpful to know that the planning board in a PRD can set and can dictate the setbacks, the lot area, and so that's why the write-up for the relief speaks to yield rather than lot.
Yeah,
With-
because under a cluster plan,
Right.
we.
So
the-
I think that just has to be articulated a little bit clearer for the board.
Yes.
I actually view this as a little bit as form over substance.
okay.
But
Do explain.
appreciate that when the planning board does a PRD, they can dictate what those sizes, setbacks, areas look like.
There's 2 issues here.
So they
Wait,
don't
let her
have to
finish,
come
let her
to us?
finish, let her finish, please,
Sorry,
please,
yeah.
please.
In any normal circumstance, they wouldn't have to come to you. But because they need lot width, now they're coming here to ask for the yield map to have that lot width
That's right.
relief.
Because it's needed on the yield map,
Right,
not on the
because they
cluster.
cannot go forward and design a PRD map with a non-conforming yield map. Does that make sense?
But Kathleen, can they force our hand with the
No.
variance? They can't, right?
No. I mean,
So-
your hand is never forced, but if I may, the planning board has a role and the zoning board has a role.
Right.
And you must appreciate that those roles often do not, they often conflict, right?
Yeah.
But here, the planning board is recommending, like your last application, a plan that in their expertise and their knowledge and you know, their ability to do their job, they think is best for you to consider.
Okay.
Whether or not you want
Okay,
to.
but what we're being asked to do is to grant a variance to the yield map, allowing for a lot width on lot 1 of 116.36 where 150 feet is required.
That's it.
Okay, thank you, now I get it.
That is it. On 1 lot out of the 4.
1 lot out of the 4.
That's right.
And now you can talk about unintended consequences.
So which if it was affordable, you
There's,
wouldn't need
there's
that.
2 issues. There's the question of density and the yield that determines that.
Okay,
And then there's the design, which is the subdivision planning process that the planning board will modify the lot sizes and create the open space that they want. So the thing we're being asked to do is grant a variance for an additional unit that otherwise doesn't conform to the yield demonstration requirements in the code.
So we
That's
say, that's right, so then we say that, and then planning board goes back and it reconfigures everything, correct? It can
Well,
reconfigure everything, it can.
We can, it's
it
just
can-
a
it
matter
can-
of 3 or 4 lots is my point.
They can't create density That's why we're having this conversation.
I know, but can they
You can
set,
design it, Madam Chair, though, so their design could change,
Their-
but the
With the-
density and the square footage can't change.
okay.
Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
So,
Not to me yet.
So teach
Not
me
yet.
something.
Yeah.
If we were to deny this variance, what would happen with lot one?
There would
Go
be,
to affordable
there would
housing.
be no lot one. It would get merged into, they'd redo the lot into a, either it would be affordable, or they'd redo it as to 3 larger lots. And
So
those
lot
3
two
lots
may
would
take
proceed
on
without a
part of
variance.
lot one,
Lot 2 would, listen,
or you would
down.
shift.
Yeah.
there would be
shift it
no
down.
house here in the front. There would be 3 houses in the back like there are now. There'd be no house on
And
the
there'd be
road.
open space in the front.
Yeah, instead of in the back, adjacent to existing open space.
Exactly.
This is what planning wanted this way.
That's why planning wants it this way.
They want open space to continue.
If you look at the yield map, at the cluster, map, the open space,
Is this the cluster map?
if you open it, I'll tell you.
Yeah, this one.
It's this one.
No, this isn't it. Sorry.
Yeah, so if you compare, this is what the planning board wanted. All this open space adjacent to open space in the rear. And open space adjacent to neighbors in the rear, where if there wasn't this, there's gonna be a house there.
But we're not certain that if we were to deny this variance, that we would not, that the planning board would not increase density in some way, shape, or form, because they could put affordable housing there.
Well, we could do affordable housing and have it. We could
Right.
do 3 with accessory apartments and have 6 dwelling units.
Sure.
They could buy a development right, and not require any zoning.
The reason we
And the
came,
planning board then also has the ability to review setbacks and that's.
Okay.
the reason we came,
So you can reduce setbacks.
yeah,
Yeah, when a density incentive
In a PRD.
in the PRD
Yes.
or a density incentive where we create additional density for affordable housing, the section of the code allows us to reduce setbacks in that case as well.
And that was you can see why we approached this with an application in one direction and then staff realized this was the more efficient or better way to do it. And I'm sorry, I thought that was submitted earlier than the 30th. I apologize.
Kathleen, what is our ability to place conditions upon the approval of this variance?
Like any other ability, as long as they're reasonably related and there's a nexus to the relief requested.
Okay. So we could figure out what those conditions might be based upon, I'm sure, all these people who are in the audience who I think are all going to talk about this.
So,
I'm looking at you, the
And
horns.
by the way, I just, in this particular case, John, if I can, this is gonna go on, because normally when you guys do conditions as buffers and everything, do your buffers and that's okay. We have a subdivision that's not in the final stages. The map that he showed you isn't gonna be the final map because it doesn't show buffers, that we're going to add and everything. So I'm concerned, at least we'd have to have a discussion to see what those conditions would be to make sure they're not gonna put the planning board in a position that's gonna prevent them from doing what they need to do.
but I can tell you the applicant, based on comments from the neighbors during the pre-application process with the planning board, is in agreement to put a buffer along that southern border with the neighbors to the south. That buffer would not be open space dedicated. As I understand it, it would be easements on the individual lots.
Isn't that the 25 feet or something like
Whatever it's
that?
going
Yeah.
to be, yeah, that'll be on top of the
Yeah,
open
exactly.
space. It'll be
And
additional.
that would be in addition to the yield road? Is this a
Well,
road
the
that's going to service all of these lots?
Can I see the map you're looking at?
Yield map.
On the yield map, that's never gonna exist, but yes, that's what it is. That's a fiction, essentially.
Yeah, because you have to on the yield map,
This is
show
what
that the lots have
probably-
access.
Okay.
The cluster map is what's most likely going to exist.
Can I ask a question about the cluster map? Would you come up with eventually the planning? Will you be coming back to us for more variances at
Oh,
that
no.
point?
The planning board will set
Set
everything.
it, sets it, and that's it.
It goes on the map.
So,
Set it
They
and
can never
forget it.
be merged. It's a good way to do the zoning, actually.
okay. Okay, so you're not coming back to ask us again to make an exception to whatever it is.
The one thing we're asking is on the yield map, which then
No.
it opens the door to the cluster.
Okay.
Is that relief for the fourth lot, which essentially is a relief in lot width. And I did have an analysis that we did, just so you know, you have context. Lot one with the proposed lot of 116 feet and 36 or 116.36
Width,
feet in width does not meet the minimum 150-foot width. We know that. But the average lot width of 25 surrounding lots in this community, in this street, is 113 feet, with 20 lots having a width of less than 150. The subject lot has a proposed lot width that is larger than 12 of the surrounding parcels, the most narrow of which is 50 feet.
They
So-
were all granted variances.
Not necessarily some variances, but there was a lot with variance for subdivisions, but a lot of them just developed as non-conforming lots. But that's the character of the community, lots of this width,
Kevin, do you have the cluster map?
especially along the street frontage.
You took it back.
It's similar, it's actually a similar request to the variance you just heard from Mr. Hume, in that he was asking for the lot width
And then
reduction.
planning had him redesign his lot.
Exactly.
Do you have the cluster map there?
Actually,
I
Kevin,
thought I gave it
did you
back.
give it back to me?
So we have not
Can I
seen
see
the
it?
cluster map.
I just want to take a look at it.
Do they have the cluster map?
No, I
No,
don't believe
no.
so.
Here, this is a smaller version if you want to take it. What it- The cluster map
So the
doesn't
cluster map.
require variances, but we can only make it if we get the variance.
So this is the idea of what you want.
That's what the planning board
ultimately
wanted.
would like.
That's what the planning board preferred after our presentation at the pre-submission, comments from the neighbors, which I'm sure you will be here reiterated tonight.
Mhm.
That's what the planning board's preference is pursuant to their pre-app report, or pre-submission report.
I appreciate if there are folks from the public.
We're gonna ask,
I know we're gonna get.
Oh, yeah, let's start
I
it.
think that'd be helpful for us to fully understand.
Sure.
Okay, I'm up to speed.
all right.
Sorry.
Does anybody want to see this?
This is yours, John.
Let's put it on the wall.
3 minute.
What?
3 minute rule.
Oh, yeah.
They have seen this. This was at the pre-submission, but if you want to do it again for reference, that's sure.
Any other comments?
The date of this map is,
It's gonna be at the
May
bottom.
20,
Bottom.
no, sorry. Something about it, yeah, August of 23.
August 25, 23.
Yeah.
So that custom map you may have in your very, very, very first submission of the application.
That's,
No.
and that's what the application was based off of originally. And then it was,
I don't think we got it.
No, we never got it. We only have the yield map.
All right, so any more comments from the board before we hear from the public? Okay, is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application? Okay,
Come here or
do you
go
want
to
to
the
come
mic,
up
either one?
here, go to the microphone?
One at a time, you can come up. Just go. And also, please take in mind, we did get a couple of letters in our submissions and from Ms. Morse and from Wood Architects, and we have not had a chance to review those because they came to us when we got here at
Today.
6 o'clock.
Yes, so
Apologize.
we're going to give some consideration to those. Okay, if you want to step up to the podium, are you an attorney?
I am, but again, this is, like Mr. Schwartz, this is outside of my area of
Okay,
expertise.
but we figure attorneys are going to tell the truth. so
I'm
that's
sorry.
all right.
I don't know why.
Before you begin, that's a clarification from the board. Do you all need me before
Wait,
filing
what
this?
do
You
you
all
say?
need me to make
Complete
copies
opposite.
of this cluster plan?
Yes, please.
Yes, I'd like to see
Yes,
that.
please.
That's what it is.
Okay,
Say thank you.
please state your name and address.
My name is Lori Morano, and I live at 296 North McGee Street. I am the lot immediately adjacent to the lot number 1 that we have been discussing.
so do you want to point it out on that map where you're reading it, so they can see it?
Oh, you're right here.
Okay.
So I'm on North McGee. The first thing I'd like to say is this was extremely confusing. We received these papers only a couple of days ago. In the middle of the holiday season, they were impossible to interpret. I was not aware of the difference between a yield map and a what's the other map?
Cluster.
The cluster map. So.
Join the group.
Okay, so the first thing I would like to say is I'm hoping that no decision gets made right
Not
away.
tonight, no,
Okay,
for sure.
because I will certainly need a little bit more time to explore this. I heard some things tonight for the first time that kind of took me by surprise, and I certainly need to look into them. So what I do want to say is, I understand that part of this application is based on the fact that a lot of the lots, or I think Benincasa stated that there's an average of frontage in the area, and he gave some
Width, I think it was
the
width. Yeah.
property width. Ms. Morse, who created this document that was submitted to you today that you haven't had an opportunity to look at, does cite several properties in the same area, and the widths of those properties are, it's 237 North McGee is 185 of frontage width, 249 North McGee has 183 feet, 301 North McGee is 281, 311 North McGee is 200, 6 White's Lane, which is right on the corner of North McGee, is 200 plus, both on North McGee and on White's Lane. 296 North McGee, that's my property, is 161 feet, and 340 North McGee is 150 feet. So those are the immediately surrounding properties, and they're certainly more than 116 feet. So it seems that that's
But
part.
it would seem the rest would not be, by implication.
Carl, let her go ahead, please.
So it seems that if that's a part of the basis of Mr. Benincasa's application, perhaps that needs to be explored a little bit further. And again, I have not had the opportunity to do that and present that information. I also think that it is, as I think you guys were also a little bit disturbed by, having the appeals board make a determination without understanding what the actual ultimate design is going to look like. I understand that the two areas that you are interested in is density was one of them. So I'm not understanding this whole issue about the affordable housing and putting 6 apartments where there's not even room for one house. So again, something I would like to look into to be able to address properly, but that certainly will increase the density on North McGee Street. I think North McGee Street has been undergoing some very positive changes in the last couple of years. The property values have been coming up. The houses have been, higher in value, and certainly we're not opposed to people developing land and making the land more valuable. I do not see this particular plan, this yield map that I'm looking at, as doing that. I think that that lot that is on North McGee Street and whatever they're proposing to build there would not increase the value and the character of the neighborhood. Again, I'm not looking at the cluster map, I'm looking at the yield map, and that is part of, I think, the problem here is that Mr. Benincasa is asking this board to make a decision on information that he does not have, or that we don't know. It's all hypothetical in terms of what the planning board would do if this variance is granted. I think the information is incomplete. I think the notice was insufficient. I think there are a lot of issues at play here, and that we as residents of the neighborhood should be provided an opportunity to look into them further, do a little bit more research, and be able to understand what is the possibility that the planning board might do if this variance is granted. So I would, at this point, oppose that this variance be granted and say it should not be granted based on the current information. If the alternative proposal is to build, I'll speak for myself at this point, the 3 lots in the back and leave the lot 1 vacant, or have some kind of an entryway or something without a building there, I don't see a problem with that in terms of the character, the nature of the neighborhood. Again, there may be buffers that may be required. I'm not sure what Mr. Benincasa was referring to. I know there was some discrepancy with respect to the initial application, talked about buffers with respect to 2 out of the 4 properties. Again, not sure what the plan was there.
What are you referring to? Just
There, I think the gentleman on the end, Mr. Leonard, had mentioned that an initial plan spoke of buffers as to lots 2 and 3.
No, I said that the lot width issues, the original application identified lots 3 and 4 as needing relief, and now we're talking about lot 1 needing yield relief. So it was confusing, and we didn't have the ultimate application.
I think Mr. Benincasa talked about on the southern border there was.
Yes,
a
the buffer.
that was proposed and agreeable by my client.
Right.
There'd be a buffer between the 2 lots to the south and the southern neighbors, including your home.
Including your home, yes.
Okay.
So, and that would be the 25-foot buffer that would not be considered part of the open space, is that?
That's right.
Correct, in addition to the open space.
So that's what he was referring to.
Okay, so,
But we're trying to keep,
okay, sorry. I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
not,
okay,
I'm
but,
just not necessarily seeing that those buffers are represented in the yield map because what's there now is a driveway
not.
that is fictional.
And it's
So-
Well,
confusing.
the yield map is just a yield map. It's not supposed to show us where the houses are gonna go, the whole thing. I mean, this is just, if you agree that this is a modification, we will then go back and draw up a cluster map, which is gonna probably be different than the
Totally
yield
different.
map. So, I mean, I understand there's confusion on the board too. So, I mean, we're all trying to get through this process and understand it, but.
Okay,
If you look at the cluster map, there's abutting your property. I assume your property is to the
South.
bottom left
yes,
on McGee.
yes.
There would be a house right there. Is there, do you have any comments with regard to the placement of a house there as it would affect you personally?
Well, we're not dealing with that at this point.
To an extent, we are.
Well, you're not,
not.
because this board is not gonna have any say in what that cluster map looks like. You're gonna set
Exactly.
whether we're getting 3 or 4, and then
That's
the
it.
planning board is gonna design that. To that point, I just wanna make
Understood.
sure to the neighbors, because people keep saying the lots to the back. The one thing that the planning board was clear about is the open space is going in the back of that lot. That's where the open space is gonna go. Has to.
But
It's
you're
adjacent
right,
But to the
existing
extent
open.
that we grant this variance, it will have an effect on this woman.
Well, we'll have to set
Possibly,
the
and I'd
number
like
of
to,
lots.
I would just like to hear what she has to say about, I mean, you're not standing here, opposing an application for no reason. I would imagine that you think that there would be some.
No, John, I just want to make clear that, because everyone's focusing on a cluster map, which has not been designed yet. This was only part of a pre-application that hasn't been finalized yet. I don't want it being represented to people that there's going to be no houses there if you don't give the fourth lot.
But the
That's
board
not-
has
That's not true.
expressed their preference for that, the planning board.
Yes, with
For
the open
that
space
map.
in the back. yeah.
Yes.
Right, and we're now have a
I just
member of the
wanna-
community coming before us, providing her commentary, and I'd like to hear, I've heard that there's, a lot of information is missing and you got it very late, but, I mean, is there some impact to you that you would like us to know about? Or- That's my question. And I think
Again,
a fair
it's hard
question.
for me to address that because
Okay.
right now, what is going to appear on that lot is completely hypothetical and unknown. So, yes, I potentially do have an interest and reason to oppose the building on that lot. I don't know what's going there right now, so therefore it is very difficult for me to address it. Density, yes, it will increase the density on North McGee. Yes, would I like to see the character of the neighborhood continue to improve in the way that it has been in the last several years? Yes, I would. Will this do that? At this point, it's all hypothetical, I really don't
Do you know how close to the
know.
lot line your house is?
I actually might be able to tell you that, but if we're a little short on time.
Yeah, we are, but it's
We
okay.
are.
We
We are short on
Yeah,
time,
we're
so.
gonna keep this open, so we'll have an opportunity to provide more commentary.
And what I was saying was,
Let's wrap it up now because we have other people who wish to comment. And really, like you said, it's all hypothetical at this
if we
point.
grant 3, the 4th lot, they don't need relief if it's gonna be affordable housing. It's separate zoning issues for affordable housing. So even if we don't grant the 4th lot, that relief, they're going to get
It'll be an
approval for
affordable housing.
So what does that mean? That's what
The
I'm not.
zoning restrictions are different for affordable housing they offer non-affordable housing.
Well, I heard that the possibility was either 3 lots or a 4th lot with affordable housing. Did I not hear
You
that?
don't need any relief on the other 3.
No, so what I was saying is, they're here before the zoning board seeking relief for that 4th lot on that yield. The code gives the planning board the ability to give them that 4th lot, without the zoning board getting involved. If they did affordable housing, the planning board could just give them the 4th lot, no zoning board.
Without
would
any
be necessary.
ZBA.
And we don't know
Automatically.
if that's going to happen or not at this
I
point.
don't, if that, I can't speak for the applicant, obviously.
But,
So-
the planning board will be holding hearings.
We're gonna have more hearings.
Yeah, and that's
But-
where you're gonna go and find out what's going on.
If we don't
And
grant
discuss
it,
your concerns.
if we don't grant it, planning could grant it without us for affordable.
Okay.
That's what we're saying.
I think I understand that. Okay.
Okay, terrific,
All
all
right,
right,
thank
thank
you.
you very much. Yes, come up and. Are you an attorney?
No, I am
Okay.
not.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and address.
Jane Cooper, 294 North McGee Street.
Did you say Cooper?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jane.
Yes.
Jane, you're right next door, right?
Yes.
South?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you on the map?
So I am right here.
Okay, all right. We got the whole southern group here.
Yeah, we did.
And then we have
And
Ms.
that's
Morris.
because we're most affected by this. And so my concern for both Lori, Joanne, myself, is that this cluster, although we're not looking at this as a design, was favored by the planning board to have all of the open space in the back, which means if we have 4 houses built, they're all gonna get pushed here, and because there's no place else to put them. And we are going to be completely clustered with 4 new houses for 3 of us. Justin will not be affected, because there will be no house here. So you're gonna put 4 houses back to back with
Jane,
the
can you
3
come
of
back
us.
to the microphone just a little bit? I'm not sure if they can.
Okay. And so that's really my concern. And the other thing is that, you know, we all buy homes to enjoy, and I mean, there's gonna be like a road right, you know, at the back of our backyards. So we're gonna get all of the runoff, and, you know, our gardens are gonna, you know, go away. I mean, it's a negative
Jane, I want to
impact.
just tell you that water has to stay on that property, and that's a requirement. So, you know, any of the runoff and stuff like that should be addressed, and it will be addressed.
Yeah,
That should not be an issue.
yeah.
There should be a requirement for a stormwater pollution plan, a SWIP with this. So our
Yeah.
engineer is gonna require a SWIP. And they're gonna look at erosion control and sediment control. By the way, regardless of whether it's 3 lots or 4 lots, they're
Right.
still gonna get
They have to
stormwater.
catch
So, Anthony,
Right.
can I ask you a question though about something Jane said?
Yeah.
It sounds like the planning board put the open space by the existing open
Yep.
space to maximize
Mhm.
continuous.
Yes.
But did anybody think about the notion that it sort of put pressure on the lots then?
You know,
That's the function of a PRD, right?
It's
I mean,
the
that's the
function-
function of a cluster.
it's the,
It gives
you know,
the planning board the authority to design it in that way, and that's exactly what New York State town law allows them to do for that purpose.
you know,
And-
we try to keep
the-
development adjacent to existing development.
And
We do it all the
Tuckahoe
time.
Woods, which is the property that this abuts, has been an acquisition priority for the town and the county over the last 20 years, with an investment of scores of millions of dollars.
Okay.
So that, you know, this is the nature of planning. This is the nature of designing subdivisions, as to how do you balance competing needs. And I'm sort of not amused that I'm sitting here dealing with this in the very second, right? But, you know, if you're concerned, if the access road in was immediately adjacent to your property, I'd understand your concern more, but the access road is actually split within the property owned by the applicant, so.
Well,
As it is now
we don't
imagined.
know where it's going to be.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying.
You know,
You know, and quite honestly, the other thing is that, you know, you know, putting affordable housing right on the street kind of deflates the value of the curb appeal of our houses. So if it puts
We're
the
not there
small-
yet. We're not
There's no-
even there yet.
There's no
in terms of-
proposal to that effect at this
Yeah,
point.
we're not even there yet in terms of affordable housing. We're,
No, I meant the one smaller plot, lot number 1, that's proposed on the yield map.
That-
If that were to go forward, that would be, you know, out of character for the neighborhood.
well,
listen, anybody can
not
say
gonna
affordable
go
housing
forward.
is out of the character of any neighborhood, that's the problem.
I know.
So
Well,
you could just apply for affordable housing if you have a cluster approval and build it anywhere you want? I don't know, I'm asking.
No.
The planning would handle that, but there is a lack of affordable housing in our town, which we're all well aware of, so the relaxation to zoning is part of what we're dealing with.
Well, let me ask a question. So when we're talking about affordable housing, what are the confines of that for the planning department?
Wait,
What can be allowed there
What do you mean?
for affordable housing?
We don't, let me, I'm gonna
A
answer.
single family home?
That's correct.
That's what it would be.
If we're creating a single-family residential development, then we want a single-family residence out of that. All that the planning board does is create the lot. We have a housing and community development director that fills that lot with the person.
That would be Ms. Back.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. and the housing authority
But then each
would oversee
Well,
it. Would oversee it. Would manage it.
And there's no such proposal at this time.
That's correct.
For that.
Right.
He's asking for relief for a fourth market rate.
I mean,
And if I
part of-
could also
But
just
you
say
could force
that
Which they should be
each
happy
of the
with.
lots are supposed to be 40,000 square feet, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And so when you look at the yield lot, it's like a weird, but the cluster would be a different thing. So it's
And they're
40,000.
much
Well, on the-
smaller, the cluster.
On the cluster, they were smaller.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't see the cluster. What were they on the cluster?
35,000 square feet,
Okay,
which is smaller than what is lot smaller than you could put an affordable accessory apartment on. So it would foreclose that double development.
okay, so you couldn't put an
And-
accessory apartment.
No, not without a variance.
Right.
And I did want to just point out, we're not staring into the abyss on what the planning board's going to do. The pre-submission report is a guiding document.
Yeah.
Based on that, we submit. They tell us what they want.
Mm.
It's tweaked from time to time, but it's not like we have no idea where this is
Substantially.
going. Yes,
I mean, what else would it be?
exactly.
It's gonna look
Okay,
somewhat.
thank you
It's
very
going
I
much.
to
just
look
have
like that.
one further
All right, one
comment
more
that-
and then-
Yeah, so I was at the planning board meeting, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, the final report reflected a recommendation to have only 3 houses. Right?
What
And
they-
then, and if a fourth were to be applied, they would have to come here to get a variance.
So what the report says is, the applicants demonstrated they got 3 conforming lots. That's what the report says. And that the option for getting that 4th lot is either they could do an affordable lot and the planning board could give them that 4th lot, or they could seek an
Correct.
attempt to get relief from the zoning board.
Okay,
So just outline what the option.
okay.
There's gonna be 4, no matter.
Well, it doesn't have to.
So your client opted to come here for the variance.
Right,
That's
to
correct.
get the fourth
Is
lot.
there
Market.
any discussion with regard to affordable housing?
Well, yes, there was discussion about whether that made sense from them from a development perspective. And from a valuation perspective, not only of their other lots, but the surrounding area. And that's why this was seen as a better approach for
neighbors.
it's not totally altruistic for the other 3 lots
Yeah.
for their market value, but ultimately for the surrounding lots too.
Yeah, got it. Would you like to come up, please? And are you an attorney?
No,
All right. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Joanne Moores, and I reside at 290 North McGee Street. My lot would be right here.
Okay.
And as I understand that obviously the developer has the right to subdivide the property, I'm definitely against any relief being given by the board. I submitted a letter today, and I hope that you all received that and can read it, because basically this is not my area of expertise. And so I did have help writing a letter. And would you all see that you received it? I have a few extra copies here. If you
Did we read
one?
It's in our
We have it.
submittals.
You do have
Yeah,
It was
but
in our
we
submittals.
haven't had a chance to read it, but we've
Yes,
had a chance
I
to
understand.
receive it.
Okay. So basically, my thing is that there's really no hardship here. And I understand that there has to be 150 feet, and that presently, so the way I understand it, does not exist. And so he's asking, for the approval to be granted. However, it sets a precedence in the area that if we grant this to him, then the next developer that comes along, and there's much to be developed in that area, that they're going to want the same consideration. And in my particular instance, my house here, my property is literally pretty much right on the property line. So my particular problem
Your
is
house.
that my house sits,
Okay.
it was actually, it's a big, long story, but it was put in the wrong place. And it's way at the back of the property. That's true. And it's way at the back of the property. And so I am going to be very much affected by another house right behind me, because I don't, my property's all in front of me, not behind me. So that's really all I have to add. And yet I did have to say that, as I was looking this over, what Lori did point out, I would like to point out here, that the property on page, well, here it says the different, that the minimum requirement is 150 foot lot width. The application of the R40 zoning specifically requires that 150 is a minimum. And those properties on the road are not, those are not minimums. It's 137 at 185, as Lori pointed out, 149 at 183, and the list goes on and on. So.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to take a look at that letter and digest it, so, is there anything else? Because we need to move along on this.
Thank you.
All right, is there anybody else in the
Happy New
audience
Year.
who wishes to be heard on this matter? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 314 North McGee?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, I think that we need some more information. We need the opportunity to take a look at the
Take a
materials.
look, yes. I didn't realize you just got it on the
Right,
third.
so,
We're gonna hold this open, but,
yeah,
when would you like to come back?
February?
February 20th?
220. That's fine.
okay.
Okay, so I move to hold the application of Janice Lee Golson
Could you
open.
do earlier? Is that possible?
2/6.
We have 2/6, but we have a lot
We
on
have
there. You said we
13
could
on
add
it.
one more?
No, that was January 16th.
Yeah, we have a lot on for 2/6,
All right.
220.
220.
So I move to hold the application of Janice Lee Golson open to February 20th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard,
Aye.
Mr. Mastonia.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Thank you, sir.
Chair votes aye. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Did we ask on Zoom? We did, right?
Thank you, ladies, for your comments.
You did ask us.
Who was the second on that?
I was.
Bob.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're too loud now. Totally. Okay, number 7 on the agenda, application of Andrew Fedor, 165 Noyak Avenue, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-5-3-21.
It sure was, you know? We appreciate how esoteric you and Custer Map.
That was so.
And I'm a little confused from a policy standpoint.
See you, Anthony.
This came to have Clip it together.
I got in trouble with
Sure.
Oh, you got it.
Okay, we need to swear, are you an attorney?
No, no.
Okay. I need to swear you both in.
Yep.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and address.
Matt Ivins, Southwark Environmental Consulting, 38 High Street, Sag Harbor, New York.
Andrew Fedor, 165 Noyak Avenue, Sag Harbor, New York, property owner.
Okay. Okay, so where did we leave off on this?
Oh, no, we actually.
We've never done this.
Yeah, let me
Okay.
walk you through it real quick. Okay. And I'm passing out aerials, just to let you know, to give you an idea of the existing conditions, and then we did a rendering of the proposed conditions, just so you have an idea of what we're doing, as well as, you know, the character of the immediate neighborhood. So let me run through this real quick. So the property owner, Andrew, next to me, to my left, his family's owned this property since the 70s. He wishes to remove the existing single-family dwelling and shed that are on the property, and construct a new dwelling, which is going to be comprised. It shows on the survey as a 2-story dwelling. It's actually more in line with a 1.5-story dwelling, which is also going to include a deck and a detached garage within the property. The property is located within an R10 and contains a conforming area of 18,431 square feet. However, the property measures only 45 in width, which where 75 is the minimum required within an R10. The proposed dwelling is to be located further from wetlands than the existing dwelling and will have a slightly larger footprint than the existing dwelling by approximately 177 square feet. The dwelling will be constructed within an A6 flood zone with a first floor elevation at 9 feet to accommodate the 2-foot freeboard required by the state, plus an additional foot for potential sea level rise. The height of the proposed dwelling is set at 25 feet and 3 inches from natural grade. The first floor will contain 1,206 square feet, and the partial second floor will contain 680 square feet. No basement is permitted due to the proposed dwelling being located within a flood zone. Again, due to the narrow nature of the property, pyramid relief of 1,014 cubic feet is requested from the east side of the proposed dwelling and 1,321 cubic feet from the west side, for a total of 2,335 cubic feet. The design of the dwelling takes into account the narrow nature of this lot by running the main ridge parallel to both sides of property boundaries in order to minimize the extent of pyramid nonconformity, excuse me, with only the second-story dormers extending beyond the pyramid. The proposed attached garage is to be located centrally within the property and will contain 638 square feet within the first floor and 475 square feet within the second floor. The height of the garage will be 20 feet from grade. The first floors will provide enough space to allow for 2 cars, various storage for outdoor furniture, yard equipment, kayaks, etc., while the second floor is designed to be a studio or a workshop or office space and or additional storage, which would compensate for the lack of a basement within the main dwelling. Again, due to the narrowness of the lot, pyramid relief of 287 cubic feet is requested from the east side of the proposed garage and 587 cubic feet is requested from the west side, for a total of 874 cubic feet. The design of the garage has also taken into account the narrow nature of this lot by running part of the ridge in a way to avoid pyramid. If you look at the aerials that I've handed out, character of the neighborhood, we do not anticipate that this will create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. And that, as you can see, the neighborhood is a mix of differently sized dwellings and development scenarios, including 1- and 2-story dwellings, all within differently sized lots, exhibiting many examples of pre-existing non-conforming conditions within the neighborhood, as well as examples of past variances granted by this board. And I included in my application the usual prior regulatory history of the neighborhood. I just showed pyramid relief. There's 17 examples of pyramid relief in the neighborhood. It's interesting because Pine Neck, we've done work in Pine Neck before, and it's almost as if you don't have a variance on your property, you're actually out of character of the neighborhood. Alternatives to avoid the variance. Again, the narrowness of the lot does not allow for much redevelopment opportunity without the need for some type of relief, mostly being pyramid. Is the variance request substantial? We do not believe so. There are at least 17 examples of past pyramid variances granted between 1999 and 2024 within the immediate neighborhood, with the most recent one providing relief of 3,871.24 cubic feet for a proposed second-story addition alone. Impact the physical or environmental conditions. We have gained approvals from both the DEC and the Town of Southampton Conservation Board. As a condition of these environmental approvals, a 30-foot wide non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer has been established through covenant along the northerly shoreline. Proper stormwater runoff systems will be installed to catch any runoff from exiting the property on the neighboring lots. And a new IA out system, well, actually 2 of them, will be installed to replace the currently non-conforming septic system. Consequently, there will be a net gain with respect to the environmental conditions of the property. For these reasons, we respectfully request the granting of this relief. I'm here, as well as Andrew, to hopefully answer any and all of your questions.
Okay. John, you're the lead on this. Do you want to start us with the questions? John?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of relief, pyramid relief being requested bothers me, I have to admit. And I understand the narrowness of the lot for the purposes of the main house. You said that the second floor of the garage is going to be a studio or storage space. Do you know which one it's going to be?
At this time,
Yeah, it's to be determined. I mean, we really don't know what use we're going to use. I mean, could be a home gym, it could be an office, it could be, my wife likes to sew, it could be a sewing room for her. I mean, we really haven't determined, we just wanted to have an extra space, and to Matt's point, there's no basement because of the situation with the property.
Mhm.
So we just wanted to have the available storage area.
Right, with a bath.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have some hesitation about the second story on the garage, actually, because I think that adds to the total pyramid relief being requested. I also, with John, I appreciate the narrowness of the property and the main dwelling, and, and I think you're gonna make some nice improvements in terms of that. But my hesitation is on the garage.
Yeah, I'm fine with the, look.
Is there a way to,
The primary residence, I mean, yes, it's a 3-bedroom, but it's understandable.
No,
And it is a very narrow lot.
very narrow, yeah.
And I get that. I just think that I think the studio above the garage is excessive.
Yeah, I mean, is there a way to elongate the garage and maybe build it, so there's not a pyramid relief requirement?
We're trying to consolidate all the improvements. We're trying not, I know we're below coverage as it is, but I mean, if you look through Pine Neck, you're gonna see a lot of these detached garages, some of them 1-story, some of them 2-story. I mean, that kind of helps define the character of the neighborhood.
I mean, when we put it together, we thought things were pretty much in scale based on the weird configuration of the lot. And that's the challenge. It's 400 feet long, 45 feet
Well, they're
wide.
all very weird.
Where are you in terms of coverage?
Coverage, we are at, yeah, we're about 10% actually.
So you've got a lot
Overall.
left.
We got a lot, but no pun intended.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we do have,
We
but
do.
also, Andrew's one of those rare clients who actually likes to preserve that, natural vegetation. So, so the idea, yeah, which actually, I was actually surprised myself to hear, because I don't really hear that a lot. So again, that's basically the idea, is to kind of naturalize or maintain the natural condition of the property.
So can we spend a moment on that? Because my interpretation of your schematic, to me, it looked like the entire site gets bulldozed and you go to some local nursery and you put 8 similar trees and that's it. So
That's just the rendering though, just structurally.
okay,
Yeah.
well, I appreciate that distinction, and on a going forward basis, try to at least note it, because one of the interesting features of the property that I thought worked well for it was you could sort of see that it's a little older and sort of maintained, just sort of the minimalist version of, of a site development versus the entire site must be engineered, right, from corner to corner. So, I think emphasizing a little bit more of that is not a bad thing. And I don't understand, this is not my area of expertise, but your main house, you made narrow like the lot, and the garage was sort of a little more square than narrow. And I get you gotta fit a car in, but it would beg to wonder, making it longer may alleviate some of the concerns that our members have expressed.
What is the ceiling height? I didn't get
So
ceiling
in
heights
the
on
garage, the first floor of the garage is going to be 7 foot. The second story is going to be set at 8 foot.
And for the main residence?
Main residence, I believe the first floor ceiling of the main dwelling is going to be 9 foot, and the second floor will be at 8 foot.
The garage, is it dormered? I mean,
It is.
Ha-
It is partially. I mean, again, we're kind of, due to the narrowness of the lot. I mean, it's difficult to have any space. I mean, if you dormer, you put a second-story dormer on here to try to, take advantage of the space you have due to the narrowness of the lot, you're not going to have much of anything up there. And again, this is reflective of the space lost for a basement.
well, nobody has basements there. Right? I mean, yeah. I mean, this, it's on the water. I mean, you can't anticipate that you're going to have a basement, so.
No, we just thought that, what our plans called for, we felt we were, pretty much in scale with the size of the entire lot. We were trying to find a way, trying to be the least disruptive way. The main house is kind of long and narrow. It's not as you would optimally have it, but we're handcuffed by the size of the lot, so we just wanted to create additional storage space, utility space. And by doing that over the garage, we thought, based on like an 18,000 square foot lot, respectfully, we thought that was kind of a reasonable, request. We don't want to be disruptive.
No,
We see so many properties with these
we
really
appreciate that.
homes that, and I've been a resident of Pine Neck on and off for my entire life. I'm 66 years old, and my parents have different properties, and we've rented different places, and this one's been in our family for 48 years. So we do respect and appreciate we want to have something that's consistent with the integrity of the property.
That's all understood. I'd like to see a reconfiguration of the garage.
I have to say, I share the concern that John and Susan have stated about the garage. I think.
What exactly is the concern with that?
Well, you're seeking pyramid relief, and
On a small lot, a lot of pyramid relief on a small lot, and we're trying to, contain pyramid relief requests. And so I think if it's a nice long lot, is there a way to reconfigure it so that you don't have to ask for so much in the way of pyramid relief?
Is this just strictly the garage?
I have no problem with the residents. I have more, and when you look at it, the residents are all lined up, they're all next to each other, and a lot of them are two-story, whatever. But the garage in the middle of your property with the pyramid relief, I have more concern. I mean, you choose not to do it, that's fine. We'll make a determination based on that. If you'd like to consider some other options, we'd be willing to, look at that.
When
Some
you
other
say
design.
configuration, are we opting, is the board saying that they will not approve any type of second story?
We're not saying that.
Yeah.
We're just
that
saying,
the
do you
amount
have,
of relief
other
requested
ideas
is
that we
excessive.
that you could present to us?
Okay.
If your garage was configured more like the house, some of the concerns that I think our colleagues share could be lessened. And
Okay.
that's subtle, right? Well,
As
Anyhow.
opposed to,
as opposed to,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so, that's kind of just a first reaction that we're having. You can choose to not do anything and continue with the application as it is. And we're not saying that it wouldn't get approved, but I think we're asking for you to give some consideration.
Sure.
And let's hear if there are any other questions on the board.
No.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on the application of 165 Noyak Avenue?
So an elongated garage, you're saying, like an elongated storage?
yeah, like
space?
let's say you wanted to have the garage in the front because that's where your driveway is, and then behind it, you continue on. I mean, you have a lot of
Another
coverage,
450 square feet
leeway.
on the first level would be acceptable to the
Probably.
We wouldn't have any pyramid relief.
There'd
It
be
wouldn't
no
be
pyramid
requiring
issue?
pyramid
Right.
Right,
relief.
it wouldn't be in front of
It
us.
Well,
wouldn't even be
you
in
would
front
still
of
need
us.
pyramid
the
relief
house.
for the
For the
house,
house,
but not for
It
the
wouldn't
garage.
require as much because it
Right.
wouldn't require for the
Exactly.
garage.
Correct.
But there would be no hesitation in terms of taking that 450, 475, whatever square
moving
feet,
it.
Yeah.
and moving it
To a first floor
to a
structure.
first floor level.
And is that connected to your garage? Is it connected to the house somehow? Is there a breezeway? I mean, there are a variety of
Connected to the
design.
garage, I'm thinking.
There are a variety of design elements that you could use, and you talk to your architect about that.
Okay. Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application?
No one's in.
Okay, thank you, Peter.
I guess.
John, you're the lead on this.
I want to hold it open.
Let's hold it open.
Okay.
If-
Yeah.
And you
And come
talk to
back.
your client and see if there's anything that you would be willing to reconsider or not. I mean, it's up to you.
So dates really the date we have next that's most available is February 20th.
220.
Yeah, that's gonna have to be available. That's the best we can do.
Because we have a lot of applications on
You can-
January 16th.
So you
and
could zoom
February
in.
6th.
Okay, I mean, I could be here. I live here now.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is my
Yeah,
conflict,
yeah.
you know, and
Okay.
I've been waiting for this to be my home for all my life, and now we're here.
Okay, so
All
I
of those,
move,
all of those.
I
heard.
move to hold the application of Andrew Fedor open to February 20th.
second,
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Reddick?
Aye.
Mr. Mastonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you for the areas.
Number 8 on the agenda, application of Matthew and Tracy Marafi, 79 Inlet Road West, Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-176-1-6.
Just give me a second to get organized here. Sure.
I actually
Right. Okay, we're here again. Yes. I've sworn.
Here again.
Yeah. Okay, I've sworn both of you in?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't need to swear you.
I'm not sure. Matthew is also on Zoom, and Tracy, his wife, is in the audience. I don't remember if they have been sworn in. I have.
So if somebody's going to speak, I need to swear them in if they haven't been already.
Yes, ma'am.
If they choose not to speak, I don't need to swear them in. All right. Well, if they're going to speak, I'll swear them in.
Okay.
Okay, so you're back, and let's hear what's going on with this application. Do you want to start?
Okay, do you want to swear them in first?
Agina, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to swear them in first?
Okay, if they're going to speak.
Yes,
Okay.
they will speak.
Okay, all right. Where are you? I can't see you. There you are.
Oh,
All right. Have you been sworn in?
yes.
Okay, you've been
Summer,
sworn.
yeah.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and address.
Matthew Marafi, 52 Beaumont Place, Fairfield, Connecticut.
Okay. All right, Matthew. And are you Tracy?
I'm Tracy.
Okay, Tracy. Okay. All right, so let's proceed.
Okay, I'm not sure if the board has had a chance to review the most recent plans that were revised and dropped off. There were some changes. The ridge line is the same. The pitch of the roof has been modified. Some of the part of the roof has been for ceiling, and I'm not sure which one this was reduced. So able to reduce their overall permit we requested to, and I cover letter 3,463.5 foot. And then
So the 3,463.25 cubic feet is the reduced amount of permit
Correct.
relief being requested.
it was, the last time we were here, it was 3904.7. And it's down to 3463.25.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can you say those numbers again? There's just a little bit of feedback.
Sure. It was the last submission that you reviewed as a board was 3,904 cubic foot. And the new is 3,463 cubic foot, 0.25.
I'm seeing it in the
Cubic
cover
foot.
letter now, sorry.
Okay.
So basically, the owners would like to address, but before we kind of go into that, I just want to explain to the board that a lot of thought went into the design. As you know, the cottage was pre-existing non-conforming. We opted to, instead of demolish it and rebuild new, they were going to use the existing footprint to save costs because, they have a hardship and that it would make sense to use most of the house, as well as I wanted to also address the fact that a lot of consideration went into the design as far as environmentally. We're replacing the existing sanitary system with a new IA system. We're reducing a lot of the pervious surface coverage by reducing, removing asphalt and putting in gravel. the large part of the problem, and we also have DEC approval, we have Health Department approval, and we have Southampton Town blessing of Marty Shea Conservation Board approval as well. So you're under all of our lot coverages for upland area as well as total. And a large part of the problem is the fact that pre-existing non-conforming cottage does not sit parallel to the property line, and it's a very strange, almost pie-shaped property where it, kind of, it's thinner towards the water. If the house was parallel to the property line, the north property line, we wouldn't be really having this problem. But the existing cottage that they're using is at the northeast corner, 4.7 feet to the corner of that property line. And that's where a lot of the hardship is located, because the house currently is that close to that property line. Now, I want to mention the fact also that the neighbors have a very good relationship with the neighbor, especially on that side of the property. They have discussed the project with all of their neighbors. All of them have been very, very supportive. They would also be agreeable to screening as well. And I think it was really the way that they revised the design, has the cottage style, is in very much character of the neighborhood. It's consistent with what the board is approving as far as cubic foot pyramid relief right now, with a hardship such as this in a very narrow lot. So, I would like the board to take that into consideration, everything that I've mentioned. And, the owners are here because they want to address the fact that their family, has needs. And they're very concerned with the fact that they have a large family, they have a son that lives with them, and with the cost of affordable housing and the Hamptons, the son lives there full time, runs his company out of the house as well. He has an LLC and works out of that house, lives there full time. Matt and Tracy are also planning on retiring, living there, time coming up. And then they also have a dad that they're taking care of that's elderly as well. So they have a very large extended family. So their need for the space is reasonable and necessary as far as, we're concerned. And, with setbacks, aren't a problem. It's really just the pyramid relief. They're really trying to come up with something. And I think the second design really did it. They got it down a little bit more now. If you look at the elevational view, you'll see that the windows are much shorter because of the pitch of the roof was changed. So it even looks more cottagey right now than it was the last submission. And it's really going to be quite an upgrade for the neighborhood. A lot of those cottages are kind of eyesores right now. And I think that when this is all done, it's going to look really, really cute for the neighborhood, for a waterfront, seasonal sort of area that it used to be. And, ever since COVID, everyone's moving out to the city, everyone's working remote. And that is just a fact of life right now. I do too. I always did work remote, but I have an immune deficiency, so this works for me. So it didn't affect me per se because I always did work from home.
Okay, good.
But
All right, is there anything else you wish to
keep
contribute?
that in mind, please.
Okay, great. John, this is again yours.
This is mine, and I have to say, I'm not pleased.
No, I'm not either.
I don't think reducing it by 500 or less than 500, 400 and change is a really significant change to this application. I think the way this board is going with regard to pyramid relief, this needs to come down. I can't possibly say that I would be in favor of this given the last application that we just heard. I would be a hypocrite. So
I had in
I'd
my
like to see some more progress be made.
I had in my
Can I hear
notes.
from the rest of the board too?
I wanted to I wanted to say in my notes, I said that you were going to look at making the second floor 8 feet, not 9 feet, and it's still at 9 feet.
It's still at 9 feet right now.
Yes.
So it's a vaulted cathedral ceiling. So the exterior walls in the second floor are now 5 feet 6 inches high. Whether or not we gable the ceiling and make it open span with no attic space, it would be a vaulted ceiling. The architect is currently drawing in the flat part of the roof at 9 feet. But on the exterior walls where the beds would be, where we can't put dressers and furniture, is 5 foot 6 inches off the floor. And you can see that on the elevation on page A3.
Let's look at A3.
We've tried very hard. As Gina said, we looked at making the footprint larger, as you guys as the board had recommended in an earlier meeting. We're at 19.7% lot coverage for the DEC, as approved by DEC. We can't make the footprint bigger. We've actually taken away existing structures to make the DEC proportion. So we're trying to work with all the different parameters. I mean, as you guys as the board understands.
And also,
We have 5 people in our family and an 86-year-old father who lives with us.
I'm not sure I understand the vaulted ceiling on the second floor
So-
of.
Well, if we don't frame in a
walls are
ceiling
only
and just
5
let the
feet
roof
high.
rafters be the ceiling,
then
it would
the-
be an A-frame to
So you're
set the
gonna have
rooms
the
that have
second
tall
floor,
ceilings.
and then
Like the-
the
All right, one at a time, please.
ceiling comes in like this.
Yeah.
Right, so most houses, they're like, your room is like this.
A square, but
But
you're
our
not.
room is gonna be 5 feet, and then it goes to,
I
Yeah.
follow what you're saying.
Right. And also, if you see the rest of the houses in the neighborhood, I mean, we're still gonna be quite small compared to a lot of them. There's a 3-story house going up 4 houses from us. There's another house 3 houses away that got 3,515 in the pyramid, and that they went up 2 years ago. And we're still gonna be, it seems like a lot according to the pyramid, but when you look at the house, it's still gonna be quite small because our lot is so narrow. So I know it sounds like maybe we're putting up a gigantic house, but we're really not. The neighbor next to us, his house is enormous. We're still gonna look teeny tiny next to his house. So that's just, I don't know if we can go any lower than, we're not gonna have a second floor, really. I don't know how to make it any lower. And we really need the bedrooms.
And you said the pitch of the ceiling of the roof can't come down?
We've come down to 12.6.
I mean, I can come down a foot, but I mean, it's gonna be tight up there.
No, I understand
Yeah.
the walls,
Yeah.
but then the pitch of the ceiling.
But
can that
also,
come
when
down
you
or
look
not?
at the neighbor's house, even with that pitch, we're still way lower. And the other 3 houses over, I mean, huge houses are going up in that neighborhood, huge.
But if they had larger lots, they had room.
A little bit larger. The one house is they got a more pyramid encroachment than we're asking for now. They got
On a larger lot.
3515, and we're asking for 34 and change.
Do we know when that was granted?
About 2 years ago, they started
One.
building.
Which one? Is that 73?
73. Inlet Road West.
Here's what the pyramid,
So,
I think, and again, I don't speak for the whole board, for myself. We can't get so tied up on a number. We need to look at each application on the lot it is. We get tied up on a number and everybody just says, no, I have no
That's
problem with
what
your
I think.
application.
I agree with
No,
you.
no.
Yeah.
I have no
73
problem with
was
the application.
granted a
It's
decision date on March
Jen,
19th.
I hope I'm, I hope
No,
this
I
is
do.
not my forte. I don't like speaking. But I'm just trying to explain how, because of the lot size, our house is still gonna look
The
like
one-
one of the smaller houses.
The one
in
next
the
door to you towers over your house. I see that.
Yes. And the number 73 does too.
2 houses down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I see that.
huge. So that's my, and we're so careful with like conservation and DEC. We never touch anything. We haven't touched anything on our beach. We actually plant beach grass if we notice it's getting, swept away. I mean, we love it here, and I love the cottagey look and the Hamptons look. I don't want to build a big McMansion. And I know the numbers say something different, but it's because of the the size of the.
So what you're saying is that your lot coverage is close to 20% at this point.
We are 19.7 for the DEC.
Okay, so that unlike the last application where we said you could push it out and, lower it, level it
You can't
down,
push it out, actually.
this is a distinction.
So,
Yeah.
Wait, let one at a
Like
time,
DEC.
please. Agina, let one at a time,
And
please.
we're not going closer to the water at
Mhm.
all. We had the conversation with Marty Shea and everything, and we're not going closer to the water, and I respect that. I'm here because of the water. I swim every day, we boat. I mean, I'm here because of the water. I firmly believe in conservation. But I have, 3 boys, one which is a permanent resident here. The other 2 they visit, in the summer holidays and stuff. And then my father-in-law, who's 86, I mean, he's the one who bought the house 20 years ago. So he has every right to be there
Okay.
too.
Any other questions from board members?
I share the same concerns. I'm not sure I can offer the most constructive solution to the problem.
Yeah, I mean, generally, we try to come up with some solutions. This may not be one of those cases where we can't. Is there anybody else who wishes to be heard on this?
I would like Agina to come back with a shorter number.
I don't see how. I mean, we have run through this with the architect for so long. We've been working on this since 2019. We came in over the summer, and this is our 3rd meeting, and working with the architect, I don't know how to make it smaller and make it work for us and have enough, living space.
I'm really picking up on the lot coverage, and that being like a difficult. That's another burden that you've got at this point.
But it's the lot coverage based on the current configuration.
Exactly.
The current configuration is very wide for the lot. I mean, you're asking for relief of 4 feet on a wood deck, 2nd floor wood deck.
But it's already
And
there.
I'm not looking at this and
That's
seeing
existing.
the factual
That's
impossibility.
existing.
It's existing.
Right, but there's still, you've got 4 feet to the lot line, and that says something to me.
But most of the houses on that street are like that. And there's a big house going up on Boathouse Road, 3 stories, and they're less than 4 feet on one of the
I
lines.
doubt there's a 3-story house going
3 stories
on,
don't get approved.
because it's illegal.
Well, I have pictures.
But
That's not for us, yeah.
Okay.
No, Tracy will talk about that.
Okay. There are a couple of comments that Marjorie made that you must have gotten the building denial letter where she has her comments on the.
Marjorie has not seen the new plans yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those have been
So-
from the original plans.
I don't think she looked at it.
Okay, there's a couple of things. One is that you did get a variance of 5 feet for the deck, but when your survey came in, it shows 4 feet. So that was like not in keeping with what the variance, was. And then she had some questions about parking too. So I think that,
Parking, we addressed parking with her.
okay, I can't deal with that because what I have in front of me
What
says.
is her problem with the parking?
Too
much?
Survey shall be revised to show total parking spaces on property, including spaces in the 2-car garage. Relief may be necessary if total exceeds 6 parking spaces. So you just need to deal with her on that.
We did.
Ma'am,
I thought we did.
Okay,
it's
did
a
you?
1-car garage. If you look on
Yeah, it's
both
definitely a 1
plate A1, which is the architect's survey, and the building survey that was submitted from the survey land company, it's a 1-car garage.
Okay.
And on the plate A1, we do show, the architect has shown since the last versions, all 3 revised versions, that there's a total of 5 parking spaces
Okay, well,
drawn on the survey on A1.
I mean, it's all,
The
the
architect.
architect
okay,
drew it all
well,
in.
what I'm hearing from Ms. Cowell is that Margie
No,
is not.
has not seen the revised plan. We did receive at the beginning of December, and she has not had a chance to review them yet. So the
Yeah,
comments
that's
that
our-
she
those comments are-
hold on,
Parking
Gina,
should
hold
be
on,
the same.
Hold on a second. So the comments that you're looking at, that she
It's
made.
based on something
was
else.
based on the original, not the
Okay.
original, but one of the other revisions or
Okay.
possibly the original application. So she has not seen the most recent plans.
Could be that it's not a problem anymore, but we don't know that. I mean, I don't know that.
I didn't,
So.
I was never told the parking was a problem. I thought we
It's a
had the
question. It was a
required,
question.
but we
Did you not get
addressed
this?
that. We addressed that with
Okay,
her.
well, that's fine.
Okay.
I don't have anything that says that she's seen the latest and needs to, all right.
The very first drawing submitted to the town had that drawing on it with the
Okay.
parking spaces.
Okay, good.
The very
Okay.
first drawing back in June.
All right. You know, this is, I don't know what to say. I'm not sure that you've got 4 votes on the board in terms of approval of I'm not sure you don't.
Too bad. I know, it's just, I don't know how to make it, I really don't know how to make it any smaller.
I tend to, as I said to you before, I'm going on the coverage, but John is correcting me on the coverage, the lot coverage. I don't know.
Yeah, if you're at lot coverage and then you're also going up, and then you're asking us for 3,500 square feet of relief, cubic feet of relief, something's got to give. We just don't give that kind of relief.
But you did in house number 73.
We don't go back and look at other
You don't
decisions.
go to press, you don't use
No, we
precedent.
don't
That
use
is precedent.
Every application is looked at de novo. We just don't. And, you know.
And even looking at the house next to us, how big it is, that ours is not gonna look, it's going to go with the
Did they come to
neighborhood.
us for variances?
No,
the
that
lot
house
next-
was built in like the 70s.
Well, that's.
But no, but I'm not saying because they made it that big. I'm just saying, it's not like we're putting up this huge house in the middle of cottages. Do you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be, it's not gonna stick out in the neighborhood. It's actually gonna be smaller than a lot of the houses in the neighborhood, especially these new ones going up are huge.
Yeah, I understand. But there may be other reasons why, for reasons they can build that and you can't. So, you know, your property is angled, you know, you've got like, you're close to one side more than the other. I mean, and that's gonna add
I'd
to.
love for you to reconsider. I mean, we've tried to work it. We've really taken into what you said into consideration, and we've redesigned and redesigned. I
And there's no
can't-
way to lower the ceiling height in the second floor.
I mean, maybe
With a 5'6" exterior wall, you wouldn't be able to walk within 3 feet of the wall.
That's
You
the
will bang your head on the ceiling when you go to the
yeah, it
open the
would be
window.
very hard to use that kind of space.
Susan,
Yes,
we're
go
not
ahead.
the, she has to bring it back to the architect.
Yeah, they're not designers. Tracy, you need to know how to sit down with your architect. Okay?
And if the architect says there's no way to do it, we'll take that into consideration, but.
Kind of what he
Yeah,
said.
I just don't see the
before.
factual impossibility of reducing the relief requested. And I think 500 is an effort, but it's not good enough.
It was definitely an effort, though.
It was an effort. An effort was made.
And we appreciate that,
And
and
we
I
appreciate that,
understand the.
but
Thank you.
Susan, I don't agree, but just for the architect to just send a letter and say, oh, I couldn't do it, and that would be acceptable. It wouldn't be acceptable to me.
No, it's not
I mean,
acceptable,
he could
but.
do it, but the house won't be livable for the size of
All
our
right, well, let's-
family. You know, I mean,
Expensive. I wouldn't have
There's
too
a
much
fundamental
incentive.
physics problem here, right? This lot is too small for the house being proposed, right? And we're grappling with, this is only a conversation you and people in your family can have and resolve. And
And
our
also-
obligation is to people who come to us and ask us for some relief in the context of everything else we're doing. So, you know, none of this is offered lightly, and we know it's disappointing, but you know, you can't come in every few months. You don't want to do this and say, if we shaved another 50 feet here and another 50 feet there, we need something more substantial. If you can find a way to do that.
it was very nicely put.
okay, I understand.
Thank you.
I don't understand,
I understand
how
all
some
of the
people
comments.
get the larger pyramid encroachment, and some don't. How
That's
that
too
works.
generic a statement for us to respond to.
Okay.
And, we've been tightening up on pyramid. I don't know if you've been, noticing, but we have been. And which, anyhow, you've got our comments, see
Need
if
4 votes.
you need 4 votes, see if you can, see what,
Well, how, can you tell me how little I can encroach on the pyramid? Like, what are we looking
we,
for?
We
They're
don't, we
not
don't provide
designed to
guidance like that.
I just think that the 3,400 is a bit high for the size of the property.
And density.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just,
I think, Trace, I think we have to talk to Todd, confirm that this is it, and we need to seek counsel otherwise.
Okay. Is there anyone in the, stay for a second. Anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application of 79 Inlet Road? Okay, so, John, you want to hold it
I'm gonna
open
hold
one more
this open.
time?
Yes, hold it open. So I move to hold the application of Matthew and Tracy Marafi open to February 20th meeting.
I think we'll probably need more time.
You'll need more time? Okay, thank you. So we have 3/7 or 3/21?
Matt, what do you think?
The later one.
3/21.
3/21? Yeah, it's gonna take us a while.
3/7.
That's
3/7 and 3/21.
3/21, please.
Hold on,
Okay.
hold on,
March
hold on.
7th?
Let's make
No,
sure.
we got, sorry.
Do we have it wrong?
Wrong year.
Oh, you were in the wrong year.
Is it 21?
Oh, how did I get into 2026?
3/6.
I'm sorry, what was it?
And
3?
3/20.
3/6 or 3/20?
3/6 of 3/20.
320.
Okay, so I move to hold the application of Matthew and Tracy Marafi open to March 20th.
Second.
Thank you, board.
Mr. Leonard,
Aye.
Mr. McDonald,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess,
Bye.
Mr. Redhead,
Aye.
Mr. Mastonia,
Aye.
Ms. Kane,
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you very much.
Year.
Happy New Year. Okay, what's next? Number 9 on the agenda, Berserk 40 Waters Edge LLC, 40 Waters Edge Road, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-62-1-59.
You want 10,000?
All right, hold on, let me just get organized, please.
Carl Benacasa, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York, for the applicant. Good evening once again. Tell me when you're ready, Madam Chair.
Okay, I understand there've been some submittals, do we have some submittals
Yeah,
in the package?
on December 30th, they were submitted.
All right, let's see if we can find them. Oh, here, is this it?
That's it.
Okay, in our submittals. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so where did we leave off?
When we were last here, we discussed the constraints on this lot. As noted, it's a roughly 10,000 square foot lot in R40 zoning district. The nature of the lots in the area are such that essentially every lot around it exists either as a nonconformity or with variances. The relief was with respect to certain setback relief from side yards and front yards. Again, it has 2 front yards as the lot is sandwiched between 2 roads. When we were last here, there was a neighbor that spoke, and it seems that the board's concern was twofold. One, there was a parking area along Water's Edge, proposed parking area, which the board objected to and has since been removed. And then they asked if there was anything we could do to reduce the pyramid relief. We reduced the height of the home and removed a chimney, though the chimney didn't apply to pyramid, it does remove some of the bulking in that area. And we reduced the pyramid request by 20%, so it's down 265 cubic feet for a total request of 1,114 cubic feet. The neighbor's concerned, and I don't know if this neighbor is still here today or is appearing again. We did present this, send this to the neighbor at their request. Was that there would be sort of a peering over into her yard, but as Mr. Leonard pointed out, the side facing her yard doesn't have any windows, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But they did still request that there be some reduction in the height, even though no height relief required, just to limit the pyramid. And they did that. They reduced it by 6 inches, which is a modest reduction, but when considering the relief in the reduction in the pyramid amount, 20% reduction in the request is significant.
Okay.
And I asked you to recall that 175 cubic feet of the pyramid is for this carport on the northern side of the lot, or I should say, sorry, I guess that's the southern or western side of the lot. Yeah.
It says south.
South side. It's either north, south, east, or west.
Exactly. It's one of 4. Take your pick.
All right. I had my notes showed that we're supposed to get revised site plans and surveys.
You do have those.
Okay, which come in. Okay.
Candace noted the revisions are on it, but they did not note the date, so we're getting the date.
All right, they have to put a new date on it.
Yep,
Yeah.
so that's being done.
Okay, so it's not November 14th, it's going to be whenever it was.
December,
Yeah.
late December.
Okay. I think you've been accommodating to the neighbors. I think that.
In addition, sorry,
yes.
there's a landscape plan.
Oh.
Do you have that?
see that.
I don't think we got that.
Yeah, that took forever to get approval. I think we just got it today. Sorry? You first, I'm coming in.
Always Candace first.
Is this the new thing? Candace first.
Did you address this comment with Marjorie, parking on west side of the property's right of way shall be removed?
And that was removed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's out of this.
In addition, we are proposing this buffer of trees. You can see that goes along the Knoll Road and the north side of the property, adjacent to that concern.
Okay.
So that you could make that a condition of the.
Okay.
And sorry, it wasn't submitted on the 30th. I literally got approval just before I came here today.
Okay, well, we didn't get to see the stuff on the 30th either, so that's all.
So just pretend you got it on the 30th.
Ah, we'll pretend. Any questions from the board?
Nope, I think it's all answered.
Yeah, John, you're the lead
Yeah,
on this.
so I
You
think
feel like,
Pretty much everything you said, the planting in the front was the big thing for me. Otherwise, I'm okay with everything else.
Yep.
anybody else on the board wish to comment?
Nope.
Is there
Appreciate
anyone,
the effort.
Thank you.
anyone in the audience? I know you said somebody else. Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to comment?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, John, you're,
All right, so we're gonna close, right? Close it?
Yep.
And then a decision for 2/6?
It was great. Thank you.
2/6.
Yeah, written subs, January 17th.
January 17th?
The written subs.
Written
Oh,
subs.
written
Written
sub.
submission.
Oh, I don't even know. Okay.
Okay, well, you
Written
just leave
subs
it
for
open, yeah.
117.
Second,
And
And
sorry,
that's
I-
decision,
2/6.
I did,
2/6 for decision.
okay, all right.
Now you can say.
now I can say second,
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Redmond,
Aye.
Mr. McDonald,
Aye,
Ms. Burgess,
sorry, man.
Hi.
No.
Mr. Leonard,
Aye.
Ms. Kane,
Aye.
Mr. Mesker.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
Happy New Year.
Have, get
Thanks.
some
Good night.
sleep.
Number 10 on
No,
the
you're
agenda. Application of Robert and Jane Drake, 23 Bakecrest Avenue, West Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-357-1-37.1.
They here, they on Zoom?
Oh, you're taking your,
That's not you.
Mr. Drake is here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you wanna come up?
Do you want to come up?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, come up.
Maybe it's a more comfortable chair.
Yeah.
I can guarantee that.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Did you have a good holiday?
Yes, it was great. A lot of grandkids.
Oh, wonderful. How many?
And number 10's on the way.
Oh, my God.
God bless. Okay, Mr. Caputo, is he on Zoom?
Yes, he is, and bringing you on right now.
Okay, thank you. All right. This was a clarification, as I recall, on
Yes.
the square footage of the main house versus the ancillary house.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, the cottage.
And
Alright.
there was some handicap issues that were
And there may
anticipated
be
in the future, right?
comments too.
Yes.
Yes.
I remember this application.
Neighbor comments.
I have no problem.
Okay, well, if there
I'm
are.
just saying.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can,
We
we
hear
can
you.
hear but not see.
There you are.
Okay, you have both been sworn in on this application, so I don't need to swear you in
I think he
again.
might be muted.
Are you muted, Mr. Caputo?
How about now?
You're fine.
Yeah,
You're
perfect.
good. Okay,
I'm sorry
so
about that.
tell us where we are in this application.
Okay, when we last were in, the board had, first of all, Happy New Year to everyone on the board, and thank you for hearing us again tonight. The last time we were in, we had a conversation about two things. First was there was some confusion created by me on the square footage of the habitable space. So a updated site plan and the date on it is 12/23/24 was provided for the board after consultations with the architect Jason Ormond, and he made the determinations on square footage that the main house has 1,088 square feet of habitable space, and the cottage has 452 square feet. The calculation on that then brings us to 41.5.
I'm sorry, could you do those again?
And I know there was some confusion as to that square footage.
All right, Mr.
So we now
Caputo,
have
could I
it at
interrupt you for a second?
Sorry.
Just go through those numbers again. I didn't catch.
Okay. Habitable space in the main house
Yeah,
is 1,088.
okay, good.
Habitable space in the cottage is 452,
Okay,
giving us a percentage of 41.5,
okay.
Okay.
which is a 6.5. We're asking for relief of 6.5%, which clears up, I think, the confusion again on our end, as we had two documents with two different
Right,
calculations.
right. And one of them said
Calculations are-
47.7%. Now you're down to 41.5.
Yeah, the correct is
Okay.
41.5.
Okay,
There were, prior plans were mislabeled at 47%, and this was recalculated by the architect, Jason Worma.
okay. And this is in our submittals?
Which was
Can you
like
see
approximately 40 square
It was
feet, right?
this,
It was the
this
site.
map that came that has all this.
that? Oh, all right. Okay, I'll have to
In the
look for it.
submissions today.
Okay, it's in the submittals today. Okay. I haven't
You can
been
use
through
mine
them.
if you want.
Yes, I believe I provided them on the 3rd of December. I'm sorry,
Okay.
December 23rd, the Monday before the Christmas break. Brought 11 copies in.
Okay, it's probably in this pile somewhere.
Yes.
I'm sorry about that.
No, that's, listen, it's holidays.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe I do have it.
know.
I do have it. What do you know?
Okay, good.
I know.
That was the first issue.
Okay,
And the second issue was the board asked us if we could go back and sharpen our pencils and maybe reduce some of the square footage of the cottage. The issue is it's only 452 square feet. And as Mr. Drake had told you last time, and he's there in front of you, one of his concern is a health issue. He has, unfortunately, a condition that is not going to get better, but is going to get worse. And so when the square footage and the plan was calculated, it had to take into effect his ambulatory nature now, which could become a walker, which could become a wheelchair, which could become a motorized wheelchair. And that threw us into a issue, because the bathroom then has to be a certain size, the counters have to be a certain size, and the openings to any room have to be a certain size to accommodate that possible eventuality. So we did go back, we did look at it, but there is really no way that we can change that or reduce it and still make it livable for two people, Mr. Drake and his wife, considering his potential situation.
I recall that, and honestly.
Yeah.
I do too. I recall
You know,
that.
I really very much appreciate your attempt to look at it and see if there is anything else that you can do to reduce some of the relief. The relief is not that great to begin with, and given this situation, I have no problem with this.
I agree.
Yeah, I think you did a very nice job
Yes, I'm
of
on board.
clarifying and justifying. So
Yes.
I don't have an issue with this either.
And even if he were to come into compliance, it's gonna be not even noticeable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I
if
mean,
we-
we're talking small houses and small cottages. I mean, it's very small.
you're
It's
looking
not
at
like, we're
6%
not looking at 10,000 square feet. I mean,
If this house was 200, if the main house was 200 square feet larger, this would comply.
yeah.
And provided we make these distinctions in the approval, so that someone doesn't remind us we granted a 45% size structure, that it was an ADA compliant, and
Right.
with some of the evidence
Yes, and we-
presented for today's
Yes.
discussion, that there was a rigorous review of,
Our decision must take into account the context, and it must identify the context.
Right.
appreciate your efforts.
Now,
Thank you.
there's one other thing. We talked about vegetative screening, and I think you agreed that you would be amenable to vegetative screening on that side to protect the neighbor. You know?
Yes,
Okay.
he's already done that between our properties.
All right.
He has large larks.
Oh, okay,
and-
so you don't feel that you need to do anything on your property too?
Well, he's already has it there. I mean,
Okay.
the only vegetative screening I could put is along the roadside.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
That might do you some
Would
good.
just be deer food.
We
Yeah.
got something in our submittal package that I just want to quickly go through. We haven't looked at this, and it is in opposition.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it's
Um,
the same, the architect right there.
This,
I just want to quickly go through to see if there's anything that we can quickly discuss. I mean, to the extent that
He just wants a different location.
I'm not seeing anything that's more practical as opposed to you shouldn't be granting a variance at all.
Same as the last argument.
May I ask who wrote this letter?
it's,
Larry and Sharon Wood.
If I may.
Have you
that was
spoken to them?
No, he appeared at the last hearing. and
Yes.
spoke,
Yes.
And spoke and then said he was going to be sending in a letter. And I believe most of his objection was on matters that were not in front of the board. But he did speak at the last hearing as well.
Yeah, it appears that, I mean, it looks like there are objections as to, the variance shouldn't be given at all.
His principal objection, I scanned the letter before, he just wants it in a different location.
Yeah.
He just wants it against the house, and that's not for us to decide.
Where was his property in relation? Is
Behind,
this?
he's past the common driveway that goes
Mhm.
down,
Oh, that's right.
and he doesn't want to see the cottage.
He doesn't want to see the cottage as he drives by to get to his
And
house.
the intrusion of the space.
Okay, I'm not concerned with that objection.
okay.
There will be screening, so
Right, there is screening. Well, but there's not screening on your side. There's screening on the neighbor's side. So
what about screening on the driveway side?
that's the screening I was talking
I
about.
could put screening on the
Yeah.
driveway
Okay.
side. I think he would find that more offensive, but
All right, well,
because he's talking, his concept on the last time he spoke was there was a wide open space he'd be looking at.
Yeah.
Now there won't be one. Well, if I put screening in,
it's even
It's
less.
less.
It's even
It's
less.
even less, yeah.
And there was something about not being able to see trucks, or if
Well,
trucks
he-
had to turn around.
he was complaining about something to do with the Amazon trucks
Oh, all right.
going down there, but maybe couldn't see his mailbox. I really,
That's not your
makes sense
problem.
to me.
Right. Well, we're gonna hold it open for written submission, and
Yeah.
if he wants to put something in, he can put something in.
Put it in
Do you
again.
speak with him regularly, or at all?
No, probably.
Tries to.
Well, no.
Okay. All right. Okay,
So-
so we're not going to put in about the vegetative screening on the driveway.
No.
Let's leave that up to you. You can discuss with him if you prefer you to put that up so he doesn't have to look at the cottage as opposed to the,
Yeah, I will leave it up to him.
Leave it up
Be
to you.
neighborly.
We're not going
Talk to each
let me put
other.
it this way, we're not going to require it.
Yeah.
But if you feel that that would help in terms of neighborly relations, that's up to you and him. All right. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application? Sorry you've had to wait so long. Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application?
Beautiful.
Okay, this is John R.
Yep, so we have written submissions for 117
Right.
and a decision for 216.
Second.
26.
2-6. Second.
All right. Mr. Ruppin.
Aye.
Who seconded?
I did.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Good luck with everything, sir.
Thank you.
And Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
gentlemen. Have a good night.
Very much. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
Sure.
Is that it for the
Okay,
agenda?
It.
For the hearings? Okay. All right. We're up to decisions. I've got one. I just want to remind everybody that the decisions sometimes don't reflect verbatim what the original application was stated, and that's what's in the agenda. So if somebody is following the agenda, listen carefully to the summary of the decisions. It may differ from what the written submissions had. Okay, I'm going to do the first one. ML Bridge LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-179-2-2.1. This application is for property located at 422 Dune Road, Bridgehampton. Applicant seeks a variance for a proposed second-story cantilevered addition to an existing dwelling on a non-conforming lot burdened by wetlands. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-83K yards as it relates to Town Code 330-11, Resident Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, for a principal rear yard setback of 29.6 feet where 50 feet is permitted, as shown on the survey prepared by David L. Saskas, LS, last revised February 21st, 2024, and the plans and elevations prepared by Tony Griffinston, RA, last dated April 29, 2024. Grant of the foregoing is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval, including securing site plan approval from the planning board prior to the issuance of any building permit and maintaining any vegetation required by the conservation/planning board.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair voted aye. Okay, Julie, you're next.
Julie, right.
Yes. In the matter of Inga Debeser, Suffolk County Town Map 900-358-3-12.1. This application is for property located at 93 Oneck Lane, West Hampton. Applicant requests variances for a proposed two-story addition on a non-conforming lot created by this board. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-6, General Regulations, that references 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for minimum side yard setback of 14 feet where 20 feet is required, and a total side yard setback of 34.7 feet where 60 feet is required for a proposed two-story addition to an existing dwelling, as shown on the survey prepared by David H. Fox, LS, last dated March 12, 2024, and the floor plans and elevations prepared by Nicholas Anthony Vero, dated February 13, 2023. Granted, the foregoing is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including little I, ensuring that only one kitchen exists in the dwelling and that any wet bar comply with the building department specifications, and double little I, the continued maintenance of the trees and vegetative screening by the applicant and all successors in interest.
Second.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Bob, I think you're next.
Okay, I have next Fisher Organization LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map 900, 122, 140.4. This application is for property located at 201 Priscilla Avenue, Flanders. Applicant requests a single and separate determination for a vacant, non-conforming lot. After reviewing the testimony and evidence presented, this board finds that the subject premises, that is Suffolk County Tax Map 900, 122, 140.4, is held in single and separate ownership from all adjacent lots and thus entitled to relief pursuant to Town Code Section 330, 115D.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Redmond?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All right, I've asked Kevin to read my last one.
So I'll make a motion for the application of Ronette Riley's Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-53-1-38.2. This application is for the property located at 873 Bridgehampton, Sag Harbor Turnpike, Bridgehampton. Applicant initially requested height variances as well as an interpretation that a proposed building apartment was an accessory and incidental to the main dwelling at the request of the board. Modified the plans to instead attach the building to the main house. As modified, the applicant now seeks a rear yard setback variance from the town-owned property and a variance for the size of the proposed accessory apartment, all of which is proposed in an existing footprint of a 4-car garage. As modified, this board finds that this application passes the standards set forth in the New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants the relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. Town Code Section 330-11, Residence Districts Tables of Dimensional Regulations, for a principal rear yard setback of 27.2 where 70 feet is required for a proposed addition to an existing dwelling, and 2, Town Code Section 330-11.2G, special standards to allow proposed accessory apartment to be 58.3% of a total floor area of the principal dwelling where the maximum 35% is permitted, as shown on the survey prepared by Nathan Taft Corwin III, licensed surveyor, last revised August 16, 2024, and the plans and elevations prepared by Ronette Riley, RA, last issued September 12, 2024. Grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia? Mr. Redmond?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. I have a motion to
Motion to
close.
close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're closed.
Thank you, everybody.